The Night on the Black Channel.
People are living in unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
It's not realistic. You need to stop acting as if like you're going to find somebody that's perfect.
So the revelation here is that dating is superficial.
Dating is superficial.
Very materialistic.
That's what's wrong with the dating scene.
Like, people don't really try to look at the person like internally. Like, they'll just look at you from the outside, like, oh no, his socks, yeah. But they'll say everything else is great. Like, everything you said, you know, you're attractive, this, that, but your shoes, I can't do it. So I just wish people would like try to look past the outside a little more.
I spoke to a young black woman who's a freshman in college, and she said, I don't like the show because it highlights the worst stereotypes about black people. What do you think of that?
I mean, at the end of the day, right, we're all human. Even if I did this show other nations, other races, it's going to be the same thing.
The same.
This is just what the dating scene is. This is how we are. But our main goal is to, let's solve the problem. We are showing people this is the problem. How are you going to fix a problem if you don't see it?
We bring people from all walks of life. So we get doctors, we get students, we get servers, we get lawyers. Like, we're bringing all types of people on this show from 21 to 50 up. And it's like, we can't determine what kind of person, what kind of character they come and they put on the show. So that's what I think makes our show really stand out, is that we let people be themselves.
Okay. So, the reason this came to my attention was because this was done under the banner of CNN Africa. I wasn't even really aware that CNN posited itself as having an African desk, I suppose, or whatever the case may be. And they went to go talk to the Pop the Balloon creators. You've all seen the Pop the Balloon thing here on You've all seen the Pop the Balloon thing here on YouTube and whatnot. And it is we're going to talk about all the dimensions of this, because there's actually a very interesting thing here going on with that as well. Let's go ahead and deal with some of the starting parts here first, so we can go in the right direction with this. So first and foremost, CNN wants you to know that Mr. B.M. Matundu is specifically a Congolese content creator. You want to discuss tribalism. You want to discuss whether or not these white media outlets are aware. You want to talk about these white media outlets being aware of tribalism and promoting it, putting literal money behind it, promoting it as a good thing, a great thing. The first thing I want to show you is that this is what they show you. Not black creators, not even African creators. Did you get that? That's the part I want you all to keep in mind. CNN Africa did not even label them as African content creators. Now, here's the thing. The thing is, they are Congolese content creators. Okay? You are Congolese content creators. All right, great, wonderful. How many Congolese do you talk to? What? That's the first thing. Okay, you are identifying them as Congolese content creators. Pop the Balloon is recorded in the Congo? Y'all caught Pop the Balloon is recorded in the Congo? They host their program in the Congo? Is that what they do? If you're going to label them as Congolese content creators, this is a Congolese show, so it's recorded in the Congo talking to Congolese people, right? No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so. So that was the first thing I wanted to go ahead and point out to you all, that CNN Africa did not even identify them as African creators. They didn't call them black. So first of all, they've distinguished themselves there, which is fine. Go ahead and distinguish yourself all you want to. The thing is that we simply are keeping track of everybody about how they identify. Okay, in the chat room out of Phoenix, Arizona. So that pretty much explains it. Jason, if you want to give me a call up when I open up the Zoom line, you are perfectly welcome to do so. And to anybody else who's been on there, by the way. So I wanted you all to understand that's the first thing. CNN is promoting this, and these individuals are chomping at the bit. Next up is talking to what's her face here. What is your name? Arnett Amuli. Also, Congolese content creator. So we're not the ones distinguishing ourselves. We're not the ones delineating. We're not practicing tribalism. That's the thing I want you to understand. Everyone sits up and has this shrieking reaction when we put a unique identifier on it. However, for these other folks here, they do that and that's not an issue. Well, here's the thing. I mean, are they Americans? Very good question. Although according to CNN Africa, they are not Americans. They are Congolese. Nobody asked you if you were. Why are you going out of your way to make that distinction? Well, if that distinction matters so much, our whole thing is about, great, you're going to have to hold that. Because the thing is, their show isn't talking to Congolese people. They are not talking to people from the Congo. They are not interviewing folks in relationships from the Congo, Mr. Madowo. If this is a Congolese production and you want to hang your hat on that, then shouldn't this be about the Congo is the thing? Shouldn't that be the Congo is the issue? Why do I bring this up? Because a lot of you have noticed about this. I'm bringing this up because in the internet era, there's a whole lot of this happening in the internet era. In the internet era, these folks have made it very clear that they are going to promote these kinds of things. It shouldn't be any accident. It shouldn't be any surprise to you that YouTube, there's a reason why every time you look at who they boost in these things, Myron Gaines, the merry band of coons he runs around with, Candace Owens, the Pop the Balloon people. Then when you go out to these other outlets, Blavity and everything else out there in the dumpster, these folks don't even need a marketing budget, although it does make you say, who's behind that? You see, these outlets are the marketing people. However, I wonder if that's the extent of it. Are they just the marketing people, or are these their employees? What? Somebody explain to me, if you are Congolese creators, why is there not a Congolese Pop the Balloon? That's a very simple question. Why are these Congolese people so interested in talking to everybody who's not from the Congo? Shouldn't they be talking to their people at some extent? How is it that you're Congolese creators and you have no interest in talking to people from the Congo? You've gotten as far away from that as you possibly can. You don't think it's necessary for us to examine those dynamics? You don't think that we should take a while here to examine those dynamics and investigate that? Because the issue that we take a look at is every time we turn around, everybody and their mama is talking about us. They're talking about us. They're talking about what we're doing. They have a microphone over here. They're trying to point out to our dynamics. That's what the only thing that they seem to be interested in doing is pointing to what we're doing there. So whether it's the shade room or whether it's any of these other things, every time we turn around, these folks have got something that they're doing, that they're setting up, and they're looking at us and talking about us. But it's like, okay, well, at that point right there, it sounds like you want to be us, is what it sounds like there. It sounds like that at that point. These machines do these kind of things for a reason. I want you to be aware of that. These machines do these things for a reason. They do them because they've got operatives here. We have giant telecommunications companies who their job is to work in line. And I want you to understand, this is all working with the government. Do not be deceived. Working with the government for the purposes of drowning out our identity, drowning out our conversation, having conversations about us that Google and CNN, these major multinational, multi-billion dollar corporations, conversations about us, and they're talking to everyone except us. Coleman Cruz, Candace Owens, Blavity, Shade Room, Pop the Balloon, Myron Gaines. That's not accidental. You see, when they talk about Africans, that would be the same as them having a bunch of folk from Louisiana, a bunch of black folk from Louisiana when they talk about the Congo. And yet, curiously enough, that little fluke never occurs. However, when you're talking about us and our people, all of a sudden, it's a bunch of folk who ain't even from here, who the corporations go straight to work, letting them, quote unquote, lead the conversation. It becomes that. That's the thing that raised my ire. That's the thing that got my attention is, okay, nobody's inviting us to participate and lord over their conversations. Nobody's inviting us to do that. No one's inviting us to be the face of that. Now, I do have one observation to make in that regard there. I mean, to a certain extent, I do understand this. To a certain extent, I do understand it. I mean, no disrespect to anybody, but let's just keep it 100. If somebody did start a Pop the Balloon of the Congo, how many of you would watch?
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
I mean, let's just keep it real. Y'all, if they did start a Pop the Balloon Congo edition, how many of you would tune in? How many of you would bookmark it? How many of you would subscribe? So on the one hand, I want you all to see the side of it that nobody's talked about. On the one hand, it's like, okay, they got more of these denigrating individuals doing that. We see what's going on there. But on the other hand, even if we did force the issue, like even if you say, well, you know what? Two can play this game. We're going to the Congo and we're going to host a Congolese Pop the Balloon. We're going to get that show popping. Dude, it ain't nothing to pop except the balloons. What? I mean, how many of you would tune in for that? How many of you would be talking about it, stop to watch it, share it with a friend? I mean, can you imagine the response videos? And let's be clear, people, there are actually several shows like that online already, by the way. No, y'all. I'm not going to say any names, but there are already shows like that on YouTube. I need y'all to understand that. There are already shows like that on YouTube. And the fact that you don't know any of them, I'll let that speak for itself. No. There actually are shows like that on YouTube with Africans. But yeah, you don't know any of them because it's like, okay, it's the only thing it would help you with is curing insomnia. So I don't blame them to come where it's popping. I don't blame them to talk about the folk where it's hitting. I don't blame them for doing that. I don't blame them because what they gonna do? Talk about the Congo? Talk about the Congolese? What are they gonna talk about? Real Housewives of Zimbabwe? What? Love and Hip Hop Kenya?
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
Well, what's that? Which one we gonna watch, y'all? Can you imagine if your Netflix subscription limited you to only continental African television shows?
Boy, what in the hell's the matter with you?
No disrespect at all. None. I just want y'all to know, imagine if your Netflix account only showed you like you can watch shows just from South Korea, but imagine if your Netflix account only showed you shows from continental Africa, boys. Imagine that, if you will. Imagine that, if you will. So before you get aggravated about it, on the other hand, it's like, oh boy. So, I notice things, but then I'm like, what's the other side of it? What's the other side of it? Those are questions that would need to be answered. Although, doubling back to it again, I just couldn't help but notice that every time we turn around, it's one of these corporations grabbing the first non-FBA person that they can, giving them a budget, and then the social media sites go straight to work, slamming them to the top of your algorithm. We've noticed these kinds of machinations and shenanigans with the white supremacist media all over the place. Daily Wire, they had to confess and admit that Facebook boosted them to the top of the algorithm, showing it to folk who didn't even want to see it. So I've told you all about this now for over a decade, that that's not accidental. When you go on your timeline and everybody's seeing Joe Rogan, even if your viewing habits do not coincide with Joe Rogan's program at all. All of you have had Call Me Daddy solicited to you at least once, even though that does not coincide with your viewing habits at all. I don't want to sound like one of these people saying that everything's a psyop, but this right here, if it's not a psyop, it'll do till the psyop gets here. If this is not a psyop, it will do till the psyop gets here. I want to say this in particular because I'm really interested where the young folk are concerned here, because this is the kind of thing I want y'all to realize, that they want to make sure these folk get paid, but notice what the payment's really for, because it's not like they're going to get rich or anything like that. Just understand what it's really for. This is about shaping and controlling the narrative. That's what it's about. This is about shaping and controlling what is the image of us. You see, the reason why we started asking about people's last names The reason why we started asking about places of origin was because we started noticing that the corporate media and the global media would have you thinking that all these negative things they keep saying, black, negative things there, that's just us and we is our own worst enemy and this, that, and the other. And then we started asking questions about, by the way, who are these folk who are behind this? And when we started noticing a common theme that, by the way, they have one thing in common, they're newcomers. They were brought over here by the white government. They've been brought over. We were sitting there on the assumption that they, quote, black like us, and then we started noticing, hey, wait a minute, no, they're newcomers. Well, that gets your attention. So who is it that's promoting these quote unquote negative stereotypes, this negative imaging? Who's promoting it and who is executing it? We started asking questions about that. Please understand, people, show me the white version of Pop the Balloon. I'll wait. They're actually out there, by the way. What? You notice YouTube has not promoted that. Now, have they? As a matter of fact, they bury that. Yeah, YouTube isn't promoting any of that, are they? They just straight getting a shovel and a backhoe and a bulldozer and burying those. It doesn't matter how hard you try with that, you don't find that. Now, YouTube did boost Pearl Davis. What? Oh, y'all remember Pearl Davis? Oh, I'm going to hurt some feelings tonight. If you want to be mad at me, you can go ahead and do that. You can go ahead and do that. That's perfectly fine by me. By the way, anybody remember Pearl Davis? Oh, you know Pearl Davis. Don't act silly up in here. You know Pearl Davis. Y'all know her. Yeah, during the pandemic, she was kind of blowing up, aka Pearly Things. Damn! Y'all remember Pearl Davis? AKA Pearly Things. Had this white girl over there in London talking to a bunch of black folk. Niggas even would fly in from America to go talk to the white girl from America in London, talking to black folk all the damn time. After the death of Kevin Samuels, YouTube was like, good, now he's out the way. She's going to take over the national conversation talking about black folk, particularly in America. They were primed and ready, and then the authorities showed up.
And deal with it, nigga.
Yeah, she was off to a good little old start there for just a minute. And then what do you know? Somebody came along. Somebody came along right when she needed things to be at their least dramatic. She needed things to be at their most quiet. She was looking for legitimacy, and right at the wrong damn minute, some dude named Jason Black comes along and completely decimates that career. To the point that now you're hearing something you never thought you would hear. When you say Pearly Things, now you hear people say, who? Now you hear that. See, there's a reason why I'm buried in the algorithm, because if you ever get a chance to punch through even one time, they understand, oh, hell no. Because you see, we have perfected crafting the narrative, and everything that we say is factual. And we are able to get down to the heart of exactly what the objectionable material is. Pearl Davis, when I said from the very beginning that this was a little undercover white supremacist. I said that from the very beginning. Folks wanted to, you have to understand, the coon class, especially the Tethers, the coon class was trying to defend her because useless eaters and their phones. And then next thing you know, she sits up here and interviews Nick Fuentes. And when I saw that, I said, ready for your close-up. The next thing you know, it was all the way over. So don't you be deceived about why it is that these online companies and video services and social media, it's not accidental. How is it that all I needed was one video that actually got some traction, didn't get a huge amount of traction, it just got enough, and that was the end of her? Hell no. Look, these are the people who set up Candace Owens in the position that she's in. They put Tucker Carlson in the position that he's in. You know, Tucker Carlson, who told you that the devil's been watching him. What? Remember? Tucker Carlson, who literally says the devil been watching him. That's not accidental that these people got millions of followers. YouTube can give somebody. Remember that girl who was in her van and YouTube gave her 1 million views in what, a month? 2 weeks? YouTube can front load anything. So when you see how effective we are, the first thing to say is, okay, bury this little bastard. I didn't do a string of programs about Pearl Davis. I did one. I did not do a string of programs. I did one. That was all I did. Just one. Just one. That was it. That was all you needed. But I want you to understand why it is outlets that have hundreds of billions of dollars, yeah, they got to flood the zone. They have to flood the zone with this kind of material. Burying you is not enough because people come looking for what we're doing. They come looking for what we're saying. So burying it isn't enough. You have to use every tool at your disposal. Bury them. Get a bunch of other stuff piled on top of it. Create some calamities. Control things. Because they saw just how quickly things can change. I need you all to understand the white supremacist power structure understands the biggest lie they want you to believe is that their grip on power is just total and absolute, that they've got this steel vice strangulation on you. And it's like, no, it's not that. It's not that at all. They've got a nonstop parade of the most ignorant baboons. Case in point, you don't have a white pop the balloon that's gotten any traction. No, you don't have that. What you have is Andrew Wilson. Damn! Yeah, you got that. So let me get this straight. When it comes to black folk, YouTube gets together everybody from the immigrant class that they can to sit up here and park them in front of your face on your phones and in front of your monitors to lead your discussion with a bunch of females babbling and out of line. However, when it comes to white society, they send in Andrew Wilson to sit here and spank them heifers and every damn thing else. So Andrew Wilson is sent in to slam dunk on behalf of white males and white manhood. But you don't have a black equivalent of that. And on the flip side, you don't have a white equivalent of Pop the Balloon. Now, isn't that interesting? Take a look at who they promote. They promoted Andrew Wilson right up until he decided to go debate Candace Owens about Charlie Kirk, and the whole world found out, yeah, this guy is a grade A ignoramus. He needs to go back to doing what Charlie Kirk was doing and what Ben Shapiro was doing. Go back to debating college OnlyFans chicks. Go back to doing that. Anything with an IQ above 4th grade, yeah, dude, you're DOA. You're not brilliant. You just go around arguing with dunces. If Andrew Wilson were really that smart and that capable, how in the world did he sit up and get embarrassed the way that he did for 3 hours? How is it that YouTube promoted him for that long? Now, I want to give you all the flip side of this. You're not going to hear them promote him anymore either. What? You see, we've taught you all for the longest time that white supremacy breaks its tools. Well, guess what? That even includes their own people when you have failed. When you have failed. Pearl Davis, she had one job to do, she failed. And once we here in the new black media threw the ultimate monkey wrench into that machine, they punished her, which is why today they don't promote what she does anymore. She doesn't get boosted in the algorithm anymore. They're not sitting up here and shoving her on your front pages anymore. They're not pushing her to you all anymore. Did you notice that in the last couple of years? Ever since she encountered me, they don't push her to you anymore. Once you fail, they drop you. Boy. And I'm just giving you all the heads up. Andrew Wilson, now it's his turn. He failed. He failed. He slipped on the banana peel straight out the door. You had one job to do and you have committed the unforgivable offense of failure. And now they're no longer going to boost you anymore. All that artificial promotion and artificial boosting in the algorithm you used to get, that's going away now. That's the reason, but understand the reason why. The reason why is because once you have debunked them and once you've shown everyone where their Achilles heel is, from that day forward, everybody demands to debate them. Everybody demands to confront them. And that's it. It's like a boxer who's a one-trick pony and everybody knows how to beat that one trick that he does. After that, he can't win a fight anymore. You see, they've made these things theatrical to make it seem like, oh, these people are just great logical minds and great debaters. And it's like they're pathetic, but it's a presentation that they make. And once you show where their weakness is, and it's a very achievable weakness, then they're useless because everywhere they go, somebody knows how to shut them down now. You see, you can only rig the audience to a certain point. You can't have a format that looks like it's open to the public, and then all of a sudden you don't want to talk to the public anymore. It's like, yeah, because people have figured out that you're vulnerable. There's a reason why you see those things. There's a reason why that happens. They promote these type of personalities because that serves as their bulwark. It has nothing to do with their intelligence. They don't have any. It has nothing to do with their effectiveness. They're not. It has nothing to do with their competence. Heffa, please. It's got everything to do with, well, this is what we got to shove out there. This is what we got to shove out there. Just understand that. Recognize why they are so seemingly eager to keep doing the same thing over and over again. It's because that's what they set up to do. They set up to do that. So when those things got shut down, that was a killing blow to the system. And that's why they don't want you to have the conversations like this. When we start asking, by the way, who is it who's really behind these things? Who is it who's really behind this, really making this happen? And so in this case right here, they've decided to go ahead and boost these folks a little bit more. They decide to boost them a little bit more. But what they're also acknowledging is that, listen very carefully, the problem with this interview with CNN is that they're acknowledging that what you've been doing is negative. That's the problem. They're acknowledging that what you've been doing is negative. That's the issue. You see, the only way this works is if you can make a positive of it. If it's not positive, that doesn't work. If it's not positive, it doesn't work. It needs to be something that can catch on. It needs to be something that you can actually stand behind. And the problem is you all are so damn sloppy with it that it doesn't work. You're going to have a long tail for these things. So remember, white supremacy is always slow. They're slow and they're last to the party when it comes to their tactics. So even though attention has changed and even though the public sentiment has changed and people are actually looking under the cover and seeing who's doing this stuff, they're still pushing the same strategy. Even though people are now more sensitive and aware to these tactics. That's the problem. You see, you were doing good when nobody was asking these questions. You were doing good. You were doing good when you could bring in all these other folk out there and just present them as flat blackness and they bring the filth and garbage with them. You were doing good back when you used to be able to do that. Back when you were having folk identify as with a Pan-Africanist slant to it. You were doing good back then. You haven't taken notice, or you're trying to refuse to acknowledge that the sentiment has changed. When people see this kind of thing now, they have a negative reaction to it. You can't have an effective tool that automatically offends its intended audience. In order for it to be effective, it's got to continue to be popular among them. Now it's just offensive. Now it's just offensive. There's the problem that you have with it. Let me go ahead and jump over here on Zoom right quick. By the way, I pinned the Zoom link to the top of the chat room there. We pinned that to the top of the chat room there. Let me go ahead and see if we can get, who's this here? Jonathan up on Zoom for us. Let me go ahead and get him here on Zoom. Okay, unmute yourself, sir. Microphone, lower left-hand corner. Microphone, lower left-hand corner. It's a little red microphone icon. I assure you, press it, it'll work.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, we hear you.
Yes. What's up?
Okay,
how you doing,
sir.
Jason?
All right, sir. What's on your mind, sir?
Okay. I don't understand. The point I was making is that people like, I mentioned Antoine Daniels as a person I never listened to, a person I never search for, but he just pops in the algorithm. Okay, now I listen to you, I listen to Reek, I listen to, Professor Black Truth. I don't listen to Antoine Davis. I don't listen to Roland Martin. But Roland Martin always pops up in the algorithm.
Why do you think that is?
Because they push it. They push it. It's the Google, YouTube, the Twitter. They push them into our algorithms, and then all of a sudden you and the videos pop up with them, and you're like, where they come from? I don't listen to him. I know Antoine Daniels is a coon. I know Roland Martin is a coon. I have nothing, But now the only time I really listen to, like, for example, if y'all commentate, like if you commentate on Roland Martin, that's why I listen to. That's the only time I listen to Roland Martin is when you comment on him, or with Tariq or somebody else comment on him. I don't listen to Roland Martin. I don't listen to him because I knew it's a coon fest. So the point I was making, I don't know, I wasn't up in Antoine Daniels or anybody like that. My point I was making, I was agreeing with you, like how they push these people that that are contrary to that goes against Black society, foundational Black American society. They push these people in our algorithm, and even white people like Seth Rogen. We don't listen to him, but they push him too. They push him and give him, and I always say this. I believe that if the algorithm, if they was fair, if the algorithm was fair, you have well over millions of the subscribers, and you y'all are all the way the content you will bring, y'all have way over a million subscribers. They limit to you. They prevent you from growing, and we know that. Even though we know how powerful you are, because when you come up and when you suggest something, it reaches a lot of people, even despite them trying to stop your growth. That's all I was saying.
Well, I think they have a vested interest in doing that. And I don't blame them for doing so. Look, I mean, you're not going to look for them to just roll over. All of these things are programmed for a reason. They're programmed for a reason. They're programmed for that to happen. And that's the reason why they do that. So it's not accidental, or if somebody's showing up on your front page, especially if it's not really in the realm of what you watch, they're pushing that for a reason. They're pushing that for a reason. Now, tell me, what is your problem that you have with them?
Problem with what I have with who? Antoine Daniels or Roland Martin?
Yes.
Well, first of all, Roland Martin is a Democratic shill. Okay, so everything is the DNC can't do no wrong. And then, of course, when he finally said something positive once in a while about, you could vote for the college, and all of a sudden, all those allegations, all those things about his private life started coming out. So he want us to vote for, it went from vote blue no matter who to vote blue no matter what they do. It's like that no matter what they do, they can have your kid. It's like the Democratic Party. They always want us to vote blue and wear and have heterosexual men wear dresses. That's the only thing the Democratic Party wants us to do, is vote for them and have our men to wear dresses. Whereas, and while they give all the benefits to immigrants and midgets and Asians and everybody else but us. But Antoine Daniels, he's just a coon. He's the, these, immigrants come over here and they do so much better than us and all that stuff. And he always talks down on Black society and stuff like that. And then, and so, that's why, it's like, blame Black first. But the thing about it, what delineation has taught us, what a delineation has brought to us, is that once we delineate, and we see all the shenanigans happening, we know a lot of that is these foreigners, these immigrant tethers. They're the ones that are doing the most of the violent crime, doing the most of the scams, the scams like the Somalian scams, okay, stuff like that. So so they can't really say that as much as they can. They try to, but then we learned that a lot of that stuff coming from these immigrant tethers. So that's why the delineation movement is quite a great thing for us.
I agree. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight, sir. We appreciate that. Yeah, you have to understand these things here, they push this stuff on us. For us, everything is about flooding us. Because understand something, there's a reason why most of you know about Candace Owens, because they flooded your timeline with it. Next thing you know, everything you're hearing is coon babble. However, on top of that, it's about saturating your brain. And next thing you know, what they're really looking for is for you to find one thing that you quote unquote agree with. If there's one thing that you quote unquote agree with, then next thing you know, that's what they're really looking for. They're really looking to try to hook you with that, to keep flooding you with that until finally that occurs. Next thing you know, you went from having it be 100% offensive to 95% offensive. And well, I mean, they do have some good points in there. I mean, they do. She do be right sometimes. That's what they're looking for. They're looking for that part right there. They're looking for that part right there. They're looking for the moment where they flood you with all this objectionable garbage, and then your response to eventually get, okay, there's got to be one thing in there that you do like, and they keep flooding that to you. Because you see, if that was equal, they'd be doing that, especially for this channel. They'd be doing that already. Just recognize what they don't do the same thing in reverse with us. You get all these conservatives on your timeline. You get all these straight up white supremacists on your timeline. You get all that when there's nothing you're doing that's interesting, that with a whole bunch of random stuff being thrown at you there. There's a reason for that. And I want you to see that you are not going to convince me that these outlets like CNN and YouTube and others, that they are not colluding together to manufacture things like Pop the Balloon and Shade Room and the rest of them, that they're all part of their machine. Okay, you come on over here. You're on temporary protected status. What? They grab some of these folk on TPS. They grab some of these people on TPS, and then they all got the same story. I only had a $400, and next thing you know, I was boosted on Instagram. Isn't that amazing? You know these folk don't have any resources. You know they don't have any money. You know that. You know that they don't have any. So how in the world why is Instagram picking you up for that when there's nothing to offer? Why would they do that? Well, that's not accidental. There's a whole bunch of y'all out here that, you try to get boosted. You try to get popular. It's like how these folks get shot to the top of it. It's not just celebrity gossip. It's because these are agents and operatives. These are agents and operatives. Just a brief aside right here. Sherry Forte needs to give us a call up on Zoom now. Very glad you had that to say, Sherry. So Sherry's got 2 minutes to be on Zoom. I want you all to please have a little patience here tonight as far as that's concerned. My moderator situation is bad. B1 speech is in between hitting the crack pipe and the meth pipe and everything else.
You smoke crack, don't you? You smoke crack, don't you? Look at me, boy. Don't you smoke crack?
Yes, she does.
You know what that does to you?
So if anybody is looking for an aged out, former healthcare worker, with questionable morals, questionable competence, questionable hygiene, then B1 speech is certainly available for you all to do that. So it's just understand in between dealing with her calluses and her canker sores, it's kind of hard for her to hold the cell phone in her hand to moderate in the chat room. So I've been having to try to advise on that on the other side of it. So just have some patience about my little moderator here tonight and whatnot. All the other folk who emailed me to be moderators, I responded to y'all's emails. I don't know why they didn't respond to me. So if anybody's asking, well, Jason, didn't they ask me? Yeah, they emailed me. I emailed them back, and so maybe she got there and threatened them. I don't know. No, just no. Now my moderator be like Waldo Faldo. It's like that.
Alrighty then.
Yeah, everybody else has sensible moderators. My moderator's like Waldo Faldo. I'm trying to have a sensible conversation. I'm talking in straight English, and them niggas is the comic relief. They're walking around the house swatting roaches. It takes 4 and 5 minutes to get them to respond to anything. So this is your chat room on drugs. This is your mods on drugs. So it's just, it just does that. It just does that. So, yeah. Yes, sir. I don't know. I don't know if they're CIA, most likely GED. If you're looking for the right acronym, I think the right acronym is not CIA. I think it's ADHD. I think it's that one. I think that's what. Sherry, you're playing dumb. The Zoom link is right there at the top of the chat room. You got 2 minutes regardless. So the Zoom link is at the top of the chat room. Don't play stupid. Or in your case, you might not be playing, but it's at the top of the chat room. You know exactly where it is. Yeah, y'all got to understand, this is the part that's missing. YouTube does not want programs like this because just like last week, see, we get in touch with the real damn world here. Just like last week, y'all saw what happened. You see all this weird stuff online and it's a one-way conversation. They want things to be a one-way conversation where you're never allowed to respond to it. Well, then you have an open forum like this where somebody actually can get called out and have to respond. Now you hear what you would hear if you were talking to these pop the balloon folk, and the folk who agree with them, it's like, oh hell, you're not straight. You ain't solid. You're crooked as hell. That's what occurs. When these folks sit up here and start agreeing with all this off-code stuff, and you be having points, and then you talk to them for a few seconds, like, okay, where you from? Okay, what are you, biracial? Okay, how long you been cooning? How long you been off the pipe? Damn! We don't discriminate against folks on the pipe. After all, B1 speech is in there.
You smoke crack, don't you?
So don't take that the wrong way. No, she's not a red bone with dimples, and she's more like, Danny DeVito with a tan. Damn! And so it's more like that, brother. No, don't start fantasizing in your head. No, you're thinking, well, is she at least ditzy and cute? No. Well, I thought most bimbos were cute. No, nothing like that. Hell, she's barely verbal, as you can tell. Barely verbal. So some of the time she hits the letter E, sometimes she hits the number 3. It's a toss-up, my man. So no. If you're thinking about a cute little red bone with dimples, I assure you it's not. I assure you it isn't. More like the comedian Bruce. It's more like that. Okay, let me go ahead and jump over here on Zoom right quick. Okay, there you go. All right, Zoom user. Who is calling in on Zoom?
Hi, this is Sherry.
Hello, Sherry.
Okay, let me elaborate on my comment.
By all means.
Okay, I've watched Pop the Balloon a couple times, many times. Not impressed with it, but with my son just giving elder commentary. But as I realized, I'm like, these hosts, they're not Black. And I'm FBA all day. And I'm like, you know what? I just can't watch this. I am sick of seeing, I guess, what we would call tethers, capitalizing on us in some way. But then I got to thinking, I said, you know what? But if we had some of us Black women actually hosting, would we be as poised? Would we talk? Would we articulate as well as she did? I'm like, no, look who they put on there. Look at the people that they have hosting. Look at some of the hostess that we do have that is popular. I'm just off the top of my head, like Angela Yee, and they're not that. That was my point. So I still support Black women, FBA women, but I haven't seen any that would even qualify to do something on that level. And they're using that against us and capitalizing on it. That's what I'm thinking. That's my opinion. That's why I don't watch it. I'm sick of the Abdullahs, Faduques. They're everywhere and they're capitalizing on us. Especially with us Black women. We're losing the race big time.
Okay. Well, let's go ahead and start with the elephant in the room there. You said Angela Yee.
Well, okay, yes, she's not black, but I
Okay,
mean just
so
also.
I'll start with the
I
elephant in the room there.
okay,
I'm
so
just saying
you
that
got me. You're right.
if that's
Okay.
the source of your issue, I mean, really, it becomes a self fulfilling prophecy. That's the whole point we made, is that when you start claiming people who are not, the system is just
Gotcha.
throwing somebody out there. And what we've stopped doing is just accepting people at face value, because when you do that,
Yes.
it ends up with that right there.
Yep.
So we have to do a background check, because the problem is these people are put here because the government did do a background check. So the government did a background check and said, okay, Hot 97, you're going to get Angela Yee. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get that. You're going to get Gloria Velez. You're going to get Angie Martinez. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get Candace Owens. You're going to get Coleman Cruz. That's what you're going to get. And what I'm saying is that when you got 40 million of us, do you realize how hard you have to fight and how hard you have to filter that they're only 5 or 10% of the population, and yet are 90% of the folk who show up in your media? Now, that's not accidental anymore.
Right.
That's not an accident. You see, he keeps in a steady diet of them showing up and a steady parade of them showing up. That's not accidental when that occurs. So
what do
I
you
want you
think
to
we
be
do?
sensitive to recognizing that a lot of the stuff that you're just assuming we is our own worst enemy and we is bad. I'm not saying that there's not some foolery going on. There absolutely is. But a lot of that is by intent to create a certain perception, particularly
Gotcha.
where you are concerned. Because the real issue is, who are the people that you personally know who behave that way, respond that way? Who are the folk you know in your daily life? Forget the internet, because that's not the real world, as Dave Chappelle said. In the real world, how much of that do you encounter among the people you personally know, personally interact with, as opposed to this very curated, very filtered environment that we call the internet?
I get you. I live in the Washington D.C. area, so unfortunately, I see a lot of buffoonery. There's not a lot, but yeah, I guess I'll take that back a little bit, because on the
Well,
Maryland
okay,
side,
well, slow down. Okay, I live in D.C. I see a lot of buffoonery. All right, define what you see.
I see a lot of young, especially young. I'm older now. I guess you can see that now. A lot of young women who really, the colored hair, the tattoo necked, I mean, it's just not really ladylike. They're not going far. They're not. Now, of course, we hear Howard. We've got some, upcoming young kids, but they leave, or they're not from here. But just where I've been born and raised in this area, we don't stand a chance. We don't. We're dead there, and there's a lot of tethers here too. I mean, they're flooding the
Thank you.
zone here.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Now,
Yeah.
that was the element I was looking for. You said in D.C. it was a whole bunch of coonery going. Well, yes, I'm like, okay, but wait a minute. That's also ground zero for
Yeah.
a lot of that. So,
A lot.
Yes,
A lot.
ma'am.
So we're small. We're a small group, and they're stomping us out. And I guess what I'm trying to say is we don't see
I
it.
don't believe that. No, I don't agree with that one right there. You say we're a small group. No, I do not. We're not a small group. However, what we have been is operating under some fallacious assumptions. So I will say, not that we've been a small group, we've been a quiet group.
Okay.
We've been quiet because we've made a bunch of assumptions about who is with us and
Right.
who
Yes.
represents us.
Yes.
And we've been waiting for them to get on the right foot. And as a result, what's happened is they've been given a very large megaphone.
Okay.
That's the
Okay.
real thing. So it's not so much that we're a small group. It is we've been silent. So that's why outlets like mine and whatnot, and there's thousands of you in here right now, thousands. However, we're also on a platform that has a vested interest in burying that, to give you the perception that you are small and insignificant. Now, let me go ahead and tie the rest of this together for you here. Now, nobody sees you here, sister, so might I ask a sister's age?
You said what?
Might I ask a woman's age?
Oh.
No,
I can't
nobody,
do that.
nobody knows you.
I can't do that.
You can do that. There's a reason.
I'm in my 50s.
Okay, well, I'm going to take the coon boots off for you for just a moment.
Okay.
I want to make a couple of connections here.
Okay.
And first of all, if you're unhappy about that, that's not a great sign either, ladies. Just forewarning there for you. What? Think about this the way. Well, we're a small group. Well, the girls are out of line. Well, we're messing up. Well, there's a lot of foolery. Now, let me go ahead and connect those lines for you there. If
Okay.
you take the mentality that you just articulated as a whole,
Mm-hmm.
well, then how should a politician respond to you if that is the way that you see yourself? Well, we're a small group. Now, when I was in corporate America, we were taught, no matter what you're listening to there, how is it you see how you can use that? Because a lot of
Right.
people think they're saying one thing, and in reality, they're saying something else.
Right.
We are a small group. Oh, so you see yourself as deficient.
Okay.
However, we are also in need of things. Okay, so you say that you have unfulfilled desires. You are a deficient person with unfulfilled desires. Well, you Negroes need to start backing the Hispanics if you want to get some things done.
And deal with it.
Ain't that right, Joe Biden? Right after he won in 2020. And he thanked the black population of basically Detroit and Atlanta for getting him over the finish line. And then his first response was, y'all need to back this. Y'all really need to get behind the Hispanics. Get behind them for what?
Right.
You just said that
Right.
we got you over the finish line. Shouldn't they be getting behind us? And yet that was his response. Well,
Right.
that response makes no sense talking to me, Jason Black. However, based on the psychology you articulated, it makes perfect sense responding to you. As a matter of fact, any other response would not make any sense because you have already assumed the subservient, deficient, as Dr. Claude Anderson warned us about, minority position. Once you've done that, well, I can't talk power to you.
Okay, Jason. I hear where you're going. Makes a lot of sense, but to me, it's almost like I listen to you off and on. I'm not bashing.
Oh, you can't listen off and on. You have to tune in all day, every day. Yeah.
I miss you, but I mean, okay, so
She says she misses me. All right, thank you.
um, I don't want you to take that I am bashing, belittling, or not in support or assuming that we are incapable people. I get I guess the thought process of it's not really monetary though, but the capitalism of what you're saying. Meaning if I'm saying, we don't articulate well, we don't do this well, we're not doing this well, then they go, oh, well, we'll show you somebody who can. So I get that, but that wasn't what I was thinking. I know that they have sent tethers here, and I agree with you that for me, I went to an international school, and
There you go. Now that's what I was waiting to hear. Because
Okay.
I don't think you're from the immigrant class, although
Oh no.
I do have a couple of suspicions. We'll come back to that. However, for the ones who are not, once you've been fed into the right indoctrination system, I mean school system, then next thing you know, it kind of
No.
slants. It kind of slants your perception of the world and how you respond to it.
Not at all. Not at all. Because I'm appalled when I see some of my people. I grew up watching them. The thought of being in white society means so much to them, especially the
Right.
tethers. It was insulting.
You are
I-
correct. However, I want you all to just take note of her, and I'm not saying she's not sincere, but her very visceral, emotional reaction when I said that.
Okay.
However, I want you to understand something about that reaction you just had. Because I need you all to understand the psychology I'm trying to articulate to you all tonight.
Okay.
They get you to think like a black person, like an FBA, but respond like a conservative tether buck dancer. You see what I mean? So in your head,
Hear you.
you're having an internal monologue in your head that is in line with us. But the actual physical responses, however, are coming out being articulated like what they've been programming.
Well, I was going to say that about you actually, because when I was talking about how we don't articulate. We don't act. And when I hear you, and I know you talk more about more stars or more popular people, you rip those black women through the coals.
Okay.
So what I was
I
saying,
rip everybody, ma'am. So
you
now, why
well,
are we
we I'm
making it? Why are we interjecting a erroneous gender issue into it? You don't hear all the
oh,
black.
I don't think that's erroneous at
Okay,
all.
so Barack Obama's a black woman.
No,
Hakeem
no,
Jeffries is a black woman.
no. Good point.
Okay,
I got
Roland
you.
Martin's a black woman. Pause.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
is
'cause you
Roland
get
Martin a black?
roly-poly
Roland Martin's a
blue.
black woman.
No, yeah,
Oh,
I get,
okay, okay.
okay.
Oh,
I'm gonna give you
all right,
that,
all
but
right.
I'm gonna stick to my
Okay,
concern, which is the female.
math meets emotions, and this is
Okay,
how it happens. This is what happens when math meets emotions. So
okay.
I will tell you, I just did a program about we need to delineate from black feminists and anybody who's got a gender agenda. We do need to delineate from that because at the end of the day, if somebody is listening with a tone deafness event is the next of kin to hostility.
Okay.
Because there
You
must be a
won.
hostility that's making sure they're selectively hearing things.
Yeah,
How
yeah.
can I have years of programming? It's like when folks say, y'all black Republicans, I have spent the entirety of Trump's administration flogging him unmercifully. The only way a person could not get that is if they are either not tuning in or they're deliberately ignoring it because they have some other agenda they're trying to push. So
Okay.
when you said I listen sometimes, if you listen sometimes, then you've definitely heard that.
I have. You won.
Yikes.
You won that. You won that one.
Wait,
Because
wait, wait, wait. I want to
I
hear about
get.
this international school, though.
Yeah, I went to an elementary school. It was an international school. I had every race
Okay,
you can imagine.
why is it called an international school? I don't understand that.
It was called New Hampshire State's Elementary School, but
Okay.
it had every race. And by the time we got to high school, I didn't go there anymore. They actually changed the name to the high school International School because it's in Montgomery County and it's a melting pot. But for me, I moved from DC to Montgomery County and I was floored at all the different races, which was cool. But I was, raised from DC, black all day, all night, and it just floored me to see black people be so coonish to be with white peoples or
Well,
other
how
races.
did you end up in that school?
We moved out of DC. We moved out of
Okay.
DC. And it was the feeder school. I think we were all, a whole part of an experiment. We was a class because we actually lived there and then they bussed us out to another school, which was of a more higher income bracket area. So we had to be some kind of experiment. And it just didn't set well with me at all.
What did your mom
And
do for a living?
my mother worked at a insurance company, both my parents. My dad was an adjuster. My mother worked in the mailroom. So
Okay, well, that might have been the reason because they did move, so the neighborhood's going to play a part in that.
yeah, but the point is,
The point is, they did move, and the neighborhood's going to play a part in that.
yeah, but when we got bussed out, we had no say so.
The neighborhood you move to is going to determine if you're going to get where you're going to get bussed to. Then.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
So it's not like you just get bussed, hodgepodge. That's not the way that works. So
Oh, okay.
if they move to certain way, like I say, these can be difficult things, especially if people have been walking around for half a century and they're comfortable with these things. However, there's a little bit beneath the surface that would dictate some of these things. So I don't think you ended up in that school by accident. And I also don't think you ended up in that school because your parents objected to it. I don't think that was the case either. So
Now I can tell you this: my mom, especially not my dad, my mom and dad were, and I hate to use this term, very ignorant. We moved into a low end neighborhood, and what my mom wanted to afford, my mother rather have money in her pocket than to have money in housing. But we did fairly well. I came from a two-parent home, but as far as being involved as, oh, we'll move here because school is that, and no. They grew up from North
well,
Carolina. Where
here's
they
the thing.
landed.
I mean, if you were in elementary school, though, you wouldn't have been aware of what their psychology would have been for the neighborhood that they moved to because you said they moved. So at that age, you wouldn't have been privy to what their psychology or their intent was for why they would move to specifically where they moved to.
I can tell you exactly why. I moved in elementary school, fourth grade. My mom, they worked at an insurance company who they met white folks that told them this was a good place to move.
All
Matter
right,
of
there
fact,
you go.
one of the guys who worked there, he left and he moved there. So you see how
Now
part of
you
Maryland
said
goes.
one of the guys. Now, what was one of the guys white?
Yes,
Okay.
he had to be white. I remember distinctively, and one of her friends.
Well, you said that he had to be, so that means you're not certain he was white.
No,
But
no,
you
no. I'm
suspect he
certain. I'm
was.
certain. I'm certain. I tell you his name, Howard.
Okay.
I remember his name,
Okay. Well,
Howard.
don't put Howard on
So,
blast now. But
right,
just,
yeah, I think, yeah. So I know my mom and them did kind of what people told them, so to speak.
right.
Once we got
I mean,
there,
she's slow walking to say they were kind of whitewashed in some of their decisions. So she's slow walking it, y'all, but that's basically what she's saying. So, and like I say,
I
that
wouldn't say
rubs.
that.
Okay, whenever I say it, she objects. So it's black woman's
that is
disease.
not true.
Black woman's
That is not
disease. I
true.
understand, but the bottom line is
I'm
that
not articulating right is what I'm
she's
thinking.
slow walking it. But the bottom line is that these played a role in their decisions. In the neighborhoods they were going to, certainly they had goals. I'm not here to cast aspersions on that. However, it's a very common pattern that we would see there, and that's ultimately going to affect the children. What tends to happen in schools, for example, like the one you went to, the kids are going to be affected one of three ways. Number one, you're going to drop this black child off into this environment, and they are going to acclimate to it and start acting like everybody else. Number 2, you're going to drop them off in this environment, and they will resist it. They will not take to the hazing well, and they're going to have a negative attitude when they come out of it. Number 3, they are going to be dropped in this environment, and they're going to come out schizophrenic.
Where you land? Where do you think I land, Jason? Seem like you going somewhere with it.
I'm not going anywhere. My car has not cranked up just yet. No.
For me, I think I did not fit well in.
There you go.
Got to spend it quite a few times.
There
I
you
just
go.
didn't. I didn't. It was appalling. I mean, I liked black people. I liked black life, and to see black people and others try to make me think that black life was less than, it really annoyed me. I came from a very good black family. I couldn't go to Florida for vacation, but going to my grandmother's home in North Carolina was good enough for me. But for them, if you didn't get presents for Christmas, because my family, my mother and them came from poor people, and they talked about, oh, my grandma left me this, we've got that, we didn't have it, and I was appalled because I was
I'm a
happy with
firm
my
believer
life.
that kind of stuff is really almost inconsequential, because instead of people worrying about giving their kids a bunch of things they didn't have, folks need to really focus on giving them the things that they did have that really matter. Because what makes your children bad is not going to be their attitude towards whether or not they see themselves as affluent. What will make them bad is whether or not they're going to be redeemable individuals. And hardship tends to do a better job of making redeemable individuals than lavish environments do. That creates soft people, and soft people are usually going to be some of the folks you got to watch the worst around. But in any case, certainly you've picked up some things from those environments, and that's understandable. I just want people to have an accurate view of exactly not just where they come from, but where they are. Let me find out here. How are you married?
No.
Okay. Do you have any children?
Yes.
Okay. How many?
2.
Okay. Are they grown?
Yep.
All right. She's got 2 children. They're grown. Was it with a black man or a white man?
I've never been with a white man in my entire life.
Okay. The white
Have
men
no
right
desire.
now. The white men right now are crying many tears. So it's just
That's okay.
you're breaking
That's
their
okay.
hearts. You're breaking their hearts right now.
It's a mutual understanding.
They
It's
were really
okay.
they were really hoping that train was going to come around at some point. But
I'm sure.
clearly
but no.
it's not going to do that there.
No.
So if you've had children and whatnot, and you've been living there, and I'm sure some of these attitudes have solidified, the things that you were saying, does that include your children also? Because
Yes.
they're in that environment.
Yes.
So they picked up on some of those negative characteristics.
Are you calling my attitude negative?
The things you were
We
talking
just
about,
prefer-
you were talking about
we just-
tattoos. The things you were saying about black females in particular. You're saying the tattoos and stuff like that.
Oh. So what they don't okay,
Yikes.
both of them, they're opposite. One loves the tattooed women.
There you go.
The other one does not.
Okay. Why do you think that is?
The age gap and the mentality of me at the time that they were young.
Mm-hmm.
Mothers dictate a lot, so I can
Understood.
say that.
So you've never been married.
No.
Okay. Those things right there matter more than the school system does. It matters more than the tethers do. It matters more than the white media does. Children are going to follow your example, not your advice. And like I said, parents can have some intention in their heads about how this should affect the children, how they hope it will. And that's why I was articulating for you. And that's not the way it actually works. It's a volatile process. You can have 3 children put in the exact same position, and you're usually going to get 3 different responses, not 3 similar ones, even raised in the same household. So their reactions to environments and things is going to be different, even from yours, even from their siblings, even if you had 3 triplets. They're not going to all just respond in lockstep to this, even to the exact same stimuli. You're going to get changes in how they respond to it. So I can see why you'd be concerned about that, because it sounds like you have daughters.
No, just boys.
You
No
only
girls.
have sons. Okay.
Yeah. No girls.
Okay. Well, have they been choosing black females, or have they been experimenting?
Well, from all that I know, the oldest one, I don't think so, but I'm pretty sure the youngest one, no. The older one, who knows? He likes the tattooed women, and I don't think he discriminates, but he's pretty much of black. The youngest one is
Do you have any tattoos?
a teeny weeny one. Yes, one.
Okay. Well, floodgates are open.
You'll never see it.
I'm not auditioning.
Not
but,
that way. You know what I mean?
No, I wasn't asking. I wasn't
It was
low-key
a
asking.
split-second thought, so it's so small, it's insignificant.
I've never heard a tattoo referred to as a split-second decision.
I really was. A split-second decision. Everybody was talking about getting tattoos. One day. And so one day I was driving home, and I was like, you know what? I'll just get one. I got my name, and that was it. What?
Okay, ma'am, choosing to get on the freeway versus going straight, that's a split-second decision. Choosing the white shoes instead of the blue, that's a split. Choosing regular unleaded versus premium, that's a split-second decision. Getting a tattoo, that's not really a split-second decision. It's really not.
I put it this way. I just did it on a whim. I thought about it, of course, been around it, thought, oh yeah, maybe one day. And then one day I was driving home, literally, because there's a shop.
Had you been drinking, or were you just driving straight home?
I was on my way home from work.
Oh, okay. You didn't answer if you've been drinking or not. So was this a sober decision?
I don't drink, Jason. Okay. I mean, I drink, but very.
Oh, she said, I don't drink no more. Okay.
No, I never. We had alcoholism in our family, so it's something I just never got into.
Okay. How many black friends do you have?
All.
Do you have any friends?
A few. But do I have any white friends? None.
No. Do you have any close friends?
Yeah.
How long have you known them?
Some since elementary school, 4th grade, junior high school, few high school, few from work. So I keep in touch, and I have a lot of close friends.
Okay. Well, you might want to stay in touch with them. That's
but no
important.
Whites.
Well, you might want to stay in touch with them, but certainly as long as they actually are getting out and meeting some people and seeing what's going on. Because if all you're doing is witnessing television or YouTube or whatever, it can really do a great job of skewing what reality really is. It really does. The other thing is that people who tend to get tattoos or tend to wear booty shorts or things like that, they want to be seen. So just keep that in mind. The red hair, blue hair folk, they want to be seen. So they're going to make a whole, they're going to be touring a lot more. They're going to be getting around a lot more. They're going to be wanting to be seen a lot more. So of course they're going to be more visible because they want to be more visible. It's kind of like the U.S. government. You have a gigantic government, and most of its employees you don't see. You know why? Because they're indoors or whatever doing their job.
I work for the government.
Okay, well, they're indoors and whatnot doing their job. They're not visible. However, they are the majority.
In this area?
Well, I'm talking about as far as employment, period. You have this mammoth, thing you call the U.S. government. But they're not nearly as visible. I mean, everybody lives near a military base, and you don't really see very much. You might see cars going in. What you don't see are the people. You could not tell me how many people are on that base. You couldn't tell me. And it doesn't matter what base you're talking about. You don't know, not by looking at it. Now, maybe if you went to go get a book that told you, oh, here's the number, but it won't be by your observation. So what I'm saying is that basically they become invisible. And most of society is invisible. And we spend a lot of our time reacting to the high profile stuff, which is otherwise harmless unless you internalize it, which is the whole reason I had you call in. It can seem like that's, quote, the majority and you're the minority, and they want you to believe that because that's the first and really most important step to surrender. Why do most armies, groups, or whatever surrender? Because they believe they're outnumbered. I'm outnumbered. I'm outgunned. I need to start looking for an exit strategy and how I can survive what's going to come next because this is a lost cause. Does that make sense now?
Yep. Because I've had that kind of conversation with my oldest son, and he kind of saying what you're saying to me, like you're on survival mode. You know, you're trying to figure out how to survive.
Okay. There you go. Okay.
Gotcha.
Let that sink in and marinate for a little bit. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. I want you all to understand that that's the whole reason why they saturate the zone with these things. That's why they give you this nonstop flood of this stuff to you, is because they want you to, they know the more you're exposed to it, even if you feel that you are rejecting it, even if you have this visceral rejecting, reaction to it, they understand that it's making an impact on you simply because you're being exposed. Very glad she called in because that's a good thing for us all to hear there. There's a lot of you who think that you can be exposed to things and it's not having an impact on you. Her son saw a teeny weeny itsy bitsy tattoo and now he's like, hey, tattoos is in. Once you're exposed to something, it's no longer shocking. You see, for something you've never seen before, it's startling. That's the way it's supposed to be. For something that you've been exposed to, even a small level, guess what? Now you've been inoculated. What are vaccines? We give you a small amount of the virus. Now that you've been exposed to a small amount of it, your body is going to slowly start acclimating it. It's no longer shocked by this intruder. That's the whole point of it. It's no longer shocking. Well, guess what? They've been studying psychology now for centuries. The whole thing is, how do we get you to a point where you don't have that visceral, violent North Sentinel Island reaction? So why don't we go ahead and slip in some of the debauchery, wearing a tight skirt, wearing some nice makeup? Why don't we go ahead and slip that in wearing some high-heeled shoes? Why don't we go ahead and slip that in with a nice car? We're putting a candy coating on the poison pill. And the real point, the real objective, the real strategy is to leave you exposed to it, because the longer you're exposed to it, even if it is terribly offensive to you, the longer you're exposed to it, the less likely to fight it you will be. You're going to start getting more and more comfortable with it. That's why that 5% I told you about at the beginning, you went from being 100% objecting to 95%. That 5%, nah, I got you. Nah, I got you. Now all we have to do is wait. Because remember, here's the part you don't understand. Now you're tuning in and listening 5% of the time. Did you get that? Now you're listening. You used to not listen any of the time. If I can just wear you down to where you're listening 5%. Well, now it's only going to be a matter of time before we get to 10. And then after that, I don't need you to agree with everything. Nobody agrees with everything. I just need you to stop fighting me. You don't have to agree with 100%. You don't have to agree with 80%. I just need you to stop fighting me. Even if you just sit there in silence, stop fighting me. Let me go ahead and get Chili up here on Zoom for us here. All right, Chili, what's on your mind?
What's going down with you, JB? Nah, I'm glad the internet it's a gift and a curse, man. It's a gift because I feel like it helps all us be on code, man. Because I wasn't even caring for this show, but it was popping.
Lie.
Nah, not.
Oh, you mean pop the balloon? Okay.
Yeah, I wasn't caring for this show. You know what I'm saying? It was popping up on my algorithms or on my feed, and I'm like, You know,
Coming at you out of nowhere. You don't know what it is. What's up with these balloons? What the hell?
I guess it was their highlights. I guess it was the most viral or whatever, or what they was trying to make viral. And you know, I'm glad.
How many dating shows did you watch, brother? I'm talking about straight up. You sitting down watching a show like cold dating, speed dating. How many speed dating or dating shows do y'all watch? As men, we don't watch that stuff. So how is this being pushed on us, and we don't even watch anything remotely similar to this?
I was trying to understand, like, I again, it's cool. I like seeing the women, you know, they was looking good, all that. I was trying to understand it. I was trying to like, okay, is they trying to hook up? Is they trying to, what's going on? And I know these people, they ain't on code, they ain't FBA because they don't understand. We not on that. We passed that flavor of love stuff. We been off that. We ain't trying to look for nothing to smash. We ain't trying to look for nothing to hook up with. And that's why I like, that's the gift of the internet, because we all on code to the point where it's a million people feeling just like me. They feeling, hey, we ain't watching this. We ain't listening to that. And I'm glad, we got the new black media to keep us up on game, because we got so many lames that's in the paint. We got so many people pushing this. I ain't just trying to be blunt on the these people doing all this goofy, this cooning and sambooning, and they want us to follow them. Roland Martin ain't never had no juice on the yard, man. He ain't never had man, come on. I remember watching him. I'm in Pleasant Grove, Texas. I'm young. My granddad watching him on TV One. I seen him get talked to by that white boy. I was like, what the? Why you let this man? I'm a man. I'm a Christian. I'm everything but a black man. I'm like, man, who is this nigga? What the fuck? What? Boy, who is you? I would have bet that white boy in his mouth. Like, boy, quit playing with me. You already know. You already know what time it is. He let that man talk to him like that. I ain't never respect him. He could never. I wouldn't. I don't even know if I ever subscribed to that man when he came on YouTube. And any of them cool ass niggas, like, man, come on. If it ain't y'all, if it ain't the new black media, ain't nobody listening to him. It's 2026. We got too much information. Ain't nobody listening to none of these little friendly ass. I don't care if you were stepping with the alphas and the kappas and the betas and all that, man. If you ain't shook nothing, if you ain't did nothing in the streets, we ain't listening to y'all. Y'all need to go ahead and go do something else so we can keep this thing going how it should have been going in the first place. We got too many people trying to put their face out here just so they can distract us for what's actually important. And then when we say, hey, this is important, this is what we trying to do, this is what we trying to focus on, nah, let's go ahead and start voting for these people who ain't gonna do nothing for y'all. They said they ain't gonna do nothing for y'all, but we gonna vote for them so they can act like they gonna do something for y'all. And we like, damn, why y'all keep doing that?
That's the whole point about this stuff. The whole point about saturating this is to try to convince you, even if it's marginal, because the real thing's about getting margins. Even if we can convince 5 or 10% of you, 10 or 20% of you, that this is what you're really on, this is what you're really about, that this is what we're really appealing to, that this is a real accurate representation of what you are and what your interests are. Because the thing that gets all of us is that, okay, whether it's Pearl Davis, Pop the Balloon, or whatever, they're always taking a look at us and trying to highlight disagreement, dysfunction, y'all just don't like each other, this, that, and the other. And that's why the next question is like, okay, well, if y'all are from the Congo, there's plenty of folk over there don't like each other. What? Excuse me, civil wars and the whole damn 9 yards. Does that count as not liking each other? I think it does. And so, and yet you're not, that's ground zero. And you ain't turned on a microphone. You haven't turned on a camera there to discuss that, where you came all the way over here. You done left where there's real issues, and you're putting the spotlight over here. Okay, what's your real agenda, dude? Because you just left where there's a whole 10 times the conflict. And coming amongst us, that's the thing that really gets your attention. I'll let you have the last word.
Unc, I want to ask you, if they ever offered you, like, if they ever offered you $5 million, you know what I'm talking about? You know what I mean? Get your own, some on whatever the big broadcast shows, you know what I mean? Would you take it? And I don't know, selling out type shit, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, would you take it?
Well, the number would probably have to be closer to 20, to be totally honest. And not for my financial reasons. It's because it doesn't matter how great of a album you have. It doesn't matter how great of a football player you are. It doesn't matter how great of a broadcast you have. You're going to probably spend 70 or 80% just on marketing and promoting it and to be seen. And remember, they're going to make a conscious effort to counter promote against this. So it's not about do you have the money to get started. It's about do you have the money to be able to be out there and be able to shout above the noise and above the crowd, because they're going to make an active effort to drown you out. Anybody who's been on Spotify in the last year has seen that. You know, Netflix, you've seen that. Here on YouTube, you've seen that. So the real thing is not do you have enough money to make a production? The real thing is do you have the money to overcome the rigged marketing and promoting environment that you're about to be dropped into? Now, if you've got enough backing for that, then you're going to be able to be viable. So I would, if you did present me with that particular scenario, I would want to make sure that I had enough firepower to enter the marketplace where it would just be overwhelming, because I know they're going to literally be going to work behind the scenes or in front of the scenes to try to drown it out. So to answer your question, if there were enough backing for it, sure I would. I absolutely would.
I feel
No
like
doubt.
that's what we need, man. If we had you in that same position that Fat Boy was in, you know what I mean? We need more spooks at the door, you know what I mean? We need more Negroes creeping through the window, man. We need more real niggas in front of the camera.
Well, I mean, that is a discussion and a conversation that does need to be had, because the reason why I wanted to talk to the young lady who called in here before is because I did want to make it clear that, yeah, we notice these things, but we have been silent. And if you're not speaking up for yourself, somebody else is going to be doing the talking on your behalf, even if what they're saying is completely against your interests. So just being spectators and just watching and just being aware is simply not enough. If we do not speak up and vocalize for our own interests, these other folk are installing other people and claiming, hey, here's your spokesperson, dude. So it becomes that. Thank you very much for giving us a call tonight. By the way, speaking about having spokespeople for you here, DJ Vlad sends his regards.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
Yeah, DJ Vlad posted this on Twitter. Shout out to these 4 NBA legends for leaving more beautiful black women for me. All I'm going to say is, ladies, if DJ Vlad is on your sexual resume, if you are a chick who been so down on your luck that DJ Vlad made it across the finish line, I don't want you. Whatever was going on in your life at the time that made him a viable option, whatever was going on, if DJ Vlad has seen you naked, baby, I don't think there's no helping you. I just don't think there's any. I don't think there's any help for you. What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? There's only so much we can. There's only so much you can excuse away here. There's only so much you can tolerate. I'm like, okay, ma'am, what was going on in your life that you felt this was the move? Were you on the pipe? Were you out of rehab? Was it work release program? Were you homeless? What was going on that you felt like this was where you needed to be? I do want to go ahead and, as a matter of fact, there's more I want to talk about there. Okay, we've gone on here for a while. We've gone on here for a minute here. So let me take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break, because I want to deal with this a little bit more here in depth. Ike, Secor, everybody else here who is on Zoom, y'all just sit tight. We're going to get back with you here in just a moment. Before I do, let me thank everybody who has contributed to tonight's program on PayPal, Super Chat, Venmo. Shout out to the code leads. The foundation is spoken. The foundation will not be disrespected by anyone. Absolutely not. To my man, Mr. Chadwick. Been a minute since we've seen Chadwick. Thank you very much for your support tonight, brother. To Mr. Richburg, as always, thank you very much here as well. Alpha Male Pimp. All right, lead with it. Rod TV4, Tom Slick, my man Logic Before Emotion, Wesley, and everybody else here. Thank you very much for your support tonight. We're going to take a very brief commercial, non-commercial break here. When we come back, we are going to finish taking you all's calls here and more. Got a couple other things I want to cover here as well. This is the Black Channel.
Be the teacher, knowledge on the block. Got the kids learning, minds open like a lock. Books and skills from the east to the west. Bringing education, yeah, we're simply the best. Classes on fire, brains burning with desire. Innovation driving like a tire through the mire. Math, science, history, we got the whole range. Kids hitting new heights, teachers making a change. Used to be the teacher, stacking up the grades. Future bright shining, no need for no shades. Got the youth thriving, moving up the ladder. Smart and sharp, brains growing fatter. Lessons so lit, yeah, they stay in a blaze. Every mind sharp like a sword in the haze. Mr. B in the house breaking knowledge chains. Education kingpin, we repping the games. Used to be the teacher.
Order yours today to experience all the benefits of Ash Kickin' Body Butter. With skin so smooth and soft, you'll thank us for it. Shop Ash Kickin' online. That's ASHKICKIN.com.
Hi, this is Brenda Starr, creator of Poetry with a Purpose and author of the book Pressed But Not Crushed. Pressed But Not Crushed is an anthology of political poems that address current and historical issues in American descendants of slave population and African American population. The book describes slaveries and its residuals, Jim Crow segregation, social depredation, and other relevant issues to American descendants of slaves and African Americans, including the current political climate that does not address our issues.
This is the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. Very glad to be with you all here this evening. I want you all to never underestimate the power of being programmed. Never underestimate the power of people giving suggestion to you. The number one suggestion they want to give to you is that you're already defeated, that there is no point and there is no value in you fighting because you're already beaten. What you really need to do is find somebody else who isn't that you need to get behind. Folks, do you understand? I mean, every boxer in the world would love to get into his opponent's head like that. I don't have to beat him if I've already convinced him that he's defeated. He's already beaten himself. So recognize what the game plan there is. They tell you that everybody's winning except you. They tell you that everybody else is on top. They promote and signal boost to everybody else. The white supremacists, the coons, the tethers, everybody's doing great except you. So what do you think is the point of that? The whole point of that is to, at the very least, even if the numbers don't bear it out, even if the numbers don't confirm it or substantiate it, to convince you that you're already beaten. So you might as well go ahead and, where's name? Take a look at the blues. However, they will not allow you the same opportunity to go among these other folk and do that. Now that they won't do. Let's go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom again. I got calls piling up over here on Zoom. Y'all are very interested in this, and that's perfectly fine. Let me go ahead and see if we can get Ike up here on Zoom for me here right quick. Ike, make sure you have your camera, your microphone turned on for me here. I'll give you 5 seconds to take care of that. Then we're going to have to move on. Let me give you 3 more seconds to go ahead and take care of that, and then we got to move on. I can give you 1 more second to go ahead and take care of that, and then we're going to have to move on. Okay, y'all, Ike is having technical difficulties. We'll have to come back to him later here. Let's go ahead and see if we can get Secker up here on Zoom for me here. Okay, Secker, make sure you unmute yourself. Microphone, lower left-hand corner.
Copy that. Peace King. How you doing?
All right, brother, what's on your mind?
I just wanted to, first of all, excellent broadcast as always. I be nervous about when I'm traveling. Like, I'm going to miss the broadcast live. Fortunately, I was able to land, get settled here. Firstly, that was a masterful mirror that you held up to that sister. And I hope, coming from the same generation as her, totally different experiences, like you said, the how struggle basically refines one like gold. I didn't come from the privilege that she came from, so I never had those confusions growing up. So personally, I fight that providing those privileges for my children to make sure that through education, through osmosis, and the way my girls see me challenging these white folks out here, I don't play around.
No, well,
So
let me interject there
gives
just a
them
moment.
sense
Just
of pride.
hold your
Of
thought there
course.
for a moment. Don't lose your thought. Hold
Uh-huh.
your thought there for a moment. But I think one of the things I notice from parents in particular, I think it is critical and essential that your children experience hardship, that they experience difficulty while they are young. And listen to this next part: while they are young, so that you can supervise them. The real issue is that folks coddle their children. Let them be kids. Shut your dumb ass up.
Sit your ass down.
You need to witness your children going through hardship, because what happens is folk coddle them, protect them from everything, want to make their road as easy as they can. And then when he's 22 or 23 years old, he is now encountering hardship for the first time in his life. Now he's going to find out how to do it. Okay, but he's beyond his formative years. So you don't get to dictate anything. And he's not looking to you to leadership. When they were little and they were forming, that is going to be the most powerful, influential time you will have to deal with them. And you will be able to see early if they are dealing with hardship, if you've done a good job of teaching them to deal with hardship well, or whether you've been slacking and they are not doing a good job of dealing with hardship, and you're just assuming that they're going to just snap in one day and lock in and start responding like you would have, even though you've given them radically different circumstances. So for parents, one of the biggest mistakes I see them making is they coddle the children, they try to prevent them from going through hardship. No, they need to face adversity early, hardship early, while you're still there. You can see it while it's happening during the most formative years. And if correction does need to be made, you're in a position to actually do it. Folk wait until they're 22 and 25 years old and then talking about, well, he dating Kim Kardashian.
Oh my God, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
What do you think you gonna do now?
Facts. Definitely, that's not the path I'm setting out for mine. It's more so about poverty, just growing up without having, like, I slept in parks with my mother. That's a different type of level. So I everything that you're saying, 100%. In fact, that just recently, my youngest baby girl just started school recently, and I told her, I said, she told me about a situation. She walked into class, some suspected white supremacist kids maybe looked at her strange, and she looked at them and cocked her head and said, "What?" And then they looked, turned it to damn Stevie Wonder and I was like, and like I told all of them, like I always tell them, I say, if you can handle it, go ahead. Let me know, keep me updated. But if you ever think I need to intervene, know that you're not walking out of the door and you're by yourself. So shout out everything that you said, 100%. My thing is just about the financial situation. Our finances, it was a whole different world. Like I say, I'm Gen X, and I come from the revolution of the Panthers, the Rainbow Beach Panthers over on 71st and Allgale Gardens. That's where my people were from. And when that whole thing spiraled down, it was just refuse. You're right. Pac ain't the only one with that story. A lot of us got that one.
Well, I will say, I'm not necessarily going to say go ahead and let the kids sleep in the park necessarily. I won't say that should be the first option. However, I'm going to trust somebody a whole lot more who can deal with adversity than somebody who never has. And
Understood.
The real thing is how they come out of it, because it's not about what you go into, it's how you come out of it. And
Facts.
A person who's hard to break, those are folks who change the world. coddle people, soft people. They don't. The only reason Trump and them are talking as much trash as they are is because they're shielded. They're protected, and they know it. And that's the whole point of having a system of white supremacy, is to protect you from consequences. Now, when you're somebody who has talked the talk and then with the heat come down, you ready to walk through it, now that's a whole different level. Trump ain't never had to walk through the mess he made. He doesn't have to deal with the heat of it. He talks trash and then go run in the Oval Office. You come from a spot where if you talk it, you got to go ahead and carry it right here, right now. That's a whole different group to have. So that I would consider that to be far more valuable, more valuable, especially if you're raising children under those circumstances, because you know this from personal experience. You live in a world that's engineered and calibrated to break you. I mean, Skid Row is as big as it is for a reason. I've been there several times. You all live in a world that is calibrated to break you. And the sooner that you can teach your children to not be easily broken, the better. Because they're walking off in schools with a bunch of Karens teaching their classes, and as soon as they get off the bus, she going straight to work to see if they can break your little kid over here and whatnot. So it's very, very important that, you do not... I'm going to sound like Malcolm X now when he said about taking the trip to Mecca. Even if you don't physically go, you should spiritually go. If your kids don't have to go to the park physically, but they should be there mentally. They should go there emotionally. Because for me, for example, I've got the ability to, when I travel or whatever, I can be in a 5-star hotel anywhere I go. However, I am just as comfortable at the Days Inn with the bathroom light that's dim enough to be from the Bates Motel as I am at the Four Seasons. Because you can't be easily broken or easily distracted. You can't always dictate how smooth the environment's going to be. And so you need to be able to operate under everything. If you're easily broken, easily distracted, easily irritated, easily thrown off your game, easily discomforted.
And discouraged, yeah. That's right.
The real issue for the fellows who go to prison is not so much they go to prison. The real thing is about how they come out. Because a lot of them do pick up, I'm not going to say positive traits, but just it does discipline them. The problem is some of the negative characteristics that got them in there, they still hold on to those. If you can pick up the disciplinary tactics and start realizing this was what you were missing. Okay, well, can you pick up that discipline without having to go to prison? Because prison's optional, right? You can pick up this discipline without going, right? Can you give yourself a prison bid without having to go there? Can you do that to yourself? If you can do anything.
That's right. That's right.
I'll let you have the last word.
Facts. Just wanted to comment. Great counsel. I hope myself as well as everybody else heard that. Great counsel. Also, the what you said, just want to make a quick comment to the family on that. The reason that the algorithm works like that, you said, made a very salient point about the reason they bombard you with the Candace Owens, the all of them weird ass people, is because they want you to glom onto one point they made, like the future needs nuclear families. Okay,
we can all agree on that.
Right, we can all agree on that. But kill the black people, murder Trayvon, blah blah blah. So they throw this in, and at my job, this fact, the cat from New Orleans, work with this cat from New Orleans. He works in another department. He came in around the time that Kirk got popped, and he was like, yeah, I know he was a racist, but he said, he did have a point when he talked about, man, I didn't read the Brother to Riot Act, because this is a brother that I counsel sometimes on just shaping his perception. I be seeing the way he talk to them folks around in the office, and I'll intervene in the middle of it and just make the room go silent. But I told him, I was like, listen, I was like, disagreeing, having variance in opinion with somebody like, you disagree. I think my approach should be engineering. Your approach, you say we should do agriculture. Okay, and then we could tug a war on that. You don't agree with somebody, you dismiss somebody outright if they make a point, a basic simple point, like men and women should get along and build community. Okay, but we need to deprive the black people and black people 13%. And like as soon as someone goes on those measures, goes to those points, and that's the framework they're coming out of, they're illegitimate.
Yeah, it's through the poison tree. It's through the poison tree. It's all packaged together. We can all agree. We want clean air and clean water, okay? And we need to move these niggas out of here. Okay, we need a different spokesperson.
That's it. So disregard them outright. Just disregard everything that they say and go to any simple go to yourself, look in the mirror and say, yeah, I could use a healthy relationship. I could use healthy eating, Well,
I mean, because the real poisonous part about that cherry picking is that the positive stuff that you agree with, he's only going to talk about that for about 1 or 2 minutes. He's going to spend the next 2 hours talking about how your black ass is the root of all evil and Donald Trump, we really need to promote him.
It's literally a hook.
Yeah, that's a wedge.
That's all that I wanted to say. That's all I wanted to say, teacher.
Thank you very much for giving us a call, brother. We appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, it's really about if I can just get that wedge in there. It's like, okay, we can agree on that. And then next thing you know, they swerve off into, well, all these niggas and black culture and it's all messed up over here. And, the Confederates weren't bad and Lincoln wasn't so great and the Civil War wasn't about slavery. And yeah, that's the tax that you pay for accepting, well, don't we want clean water and clean air when Candace Owens and Charlie Kirk are the messengers? I mean, well, you don't disagree with that, do you? I mean, clean water, clean air. Okay, yeah, I agree with that. I just don't want to hear it from you. Because you're not here to sell me clean water and clean air. That's the problem. That's not actually what you're here to sell. You're here to sell me white supremacy, and you're leading with, oh, well, shouldn't we have more marriages and clean water and clean air? Okay, you're leading with that. That's your opening pitch to, now that I've got your attention, let's talk about some good old white supremacy. And that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's like, no, I know the con job you pull. I know that. You're not a legitimate spokesperson to speak to here. You're not a legitimate spokesperson to speak to here. Now, I do want to say something a little bit different here, not about that. I do want to say that. There's a reason why I brought in there DJ Vlad. There's a reason why I brought that in. I want you all to understand that media does matter. Do not deceive yourself or fool yourself into thinking that media does not matter. Media does matter. Media does matter. Media is important. Mass communication is important and it does have an effect. Please don't tell yourself that it doesn't have an effect on you. It does. It begins to do those kind of things. It begins to wear you down. That's why I was saying you'll be sitting here, and for many of you who think you're at your strongest, yes, that now they've really got you because you think that your filter is turned on to the max. And in reality, you are thinking like black first, but you're responding like something else. And we don't have to live with what you think. We have to live with how you act. And we have to live with how you respond. So you have to be aware that media does matter. What you intake and ingest does matter. Well, Jason, how can I do this then? Okay, let me go ahead and tell you all exactly how to deal with it. You are to deal with it with a skeptical eye and a cynical ear.
And deal with it, nigga.
When you turn on, if you turn on the Candace Owens, you are supposed to be there as the prosecutor. You don't need no damn information from her. You don't need any information, any insight, any leadership. She's not leading nothing. And do not listen to her for entertainment either. You only listen to her to indict her. You all have never tuned in to me to hear me big up in her. Every time I talk about her, it is an indictment. When she talked to Rabbi Shmuley, I'm like, oh, well, certainly I agree with a lot of what Candace said, but by the way, go Shmuley, go. You are here to be indicted. And And every time you speak, I will be simply opening up the docket to indict you again. You can never escape judgment, and you can never escape the sentence. Whenever you speak, I am only here to indict you. When Ben Shapiro speaks, I am only here to indict him. When Pearl Davis spoke, I was only there to indict her. Which is why when she spoke to Nick Fuentes, I was only there to indict him. And then I got the both of them. So if you are going to be doing this stuff, you have to be disciplined. You can't be seeking entertainment. You are only there to indict them. They can pop their balloons and you are here to indict. When they speak, you are only here to listen for the negative. You're only here to listen for what you can prosecute them for. That's the only thing you listen for. Anything that you think you agree. Shout out Brother Nilly Fuller. If you don't understand that she does not mean marriage the way you do, take a look at who she's married to. Damn! You're going to let her lecture you about the need for a two-parent home? Who's the other parent that she chose? No, I can't listen to you. Never can at all. You have nothing to offer me. She's using words that you recognize, but she means it in a totally deviant manner. No, you can't listen to anything she has to say. She has nothing of redeeming value to offer you because she doesn't mean any of these words or terms the way that you do. Her job is to try to fool you and deceive you into thinking she means something else or that you and her agree on something. You two don't agree on anything. If you do, there are two coons in the room, not one. There are two in the room, not one. And you be aware that whenever you listen to anything, if it comes across your news feed, you all know that, Jason, you is so negative, you damn Skippy.
And deal with it, nigga.
Jason, you're hostile. Jason, you're harsh. You damn right. Anything and everything that is put in front of me, it will be met with a cynical, judgmental, objective eye. I don't just grab anything and then just take it in on first blush. It's going to be scrutinized. It is going to be scrutinized. It's going to be judged. It's going to be dissected. It's going to be run through the ringer. That's how you should treat everything, but especially from these suspect outlets. At a certain point, we're supposed to be done judging, and then we made a judgment. You've been judged as suspect. From here on in, we only listen to you for indictment. We only listen to you to make the case against you. You have nothing redeemable and nothing positive to offer me. Now that we've said that, I must remind you again that when it comes to these so-called black outlets and so-called black media outlets, there's a reason that you never saw me come running to Byron Allen's defense. Never to his defense, never to his cause. And that's why I'm making sure that you all also understand that even though there are some black folk out there, anybody who shows up on cable television, and I said anybody. What? And I said, anybody. I need you all to make sure that you have a cynical eye when you're watching that as well. Even people that you think are quote unquote on our side, I need you to make sure that you keep one eyebrow raised. How did you get them to open that door for you exactly? Asking for a friend. No, I don't think folks are ready for that one here tonight, but I did say it. Oh, let no one ever say that I left that unsaid. Even some of these folks you think are quote unquote on our side there. As far as I'm concerned, I always ask the same thing. How did you get them folks to open that door for you? How did you get, by the way, how did you get them to let you on their network? As far as I can tell, they are enemies of the people and enemies of the state. So how did you get them to do that? Why, they don't even answer our phone calls. They don't even respond to the emails. We know they're watching us. How did you get them to do that? I don't want any of you being taken unawares. A lot of y'all who are inducting people in sight unseen and assuming things, and I just want y'all to be aware that if you want to know where I come from, if I see them on these cable TV outlets, I see them on too many of these corporate outlets, I'm like, okay, by the way, I'm not indicting you yet, but I got an eyebrow raised. I do have an eyebrow raised. Because you've seen enough folk here go bad now, haven't you? I've seen enough things go bad. Many of you have seen that. So keep your eyes and your ears open. You should be skeptical about all these folks, especially if they get welcomed into some of these circles and whatnot. It's like, okay. Remember, if you think that white supremacy is only dealing with the folks outside of our circles, then you have not been paying attention to the last century of COINTELPRO activities. If you think that they haven't been softening up people in our proximity, if you think they haven't already softened some of them up, 5% people, just a few percent. Let them on once here. Okay, get them on up out of here. All right, let them back in a little bit later. See if we can ease up on that a little bit. So, if you all want to know who I watch, I'm watching anybody who is suspect and anybody that the suspect people are cool with, even if it's in a tertiary manner. Whose man is this? Who goes there? How did you get them to open that door for you? That's the eye and the ear that I listen to people with and watch people with. So a Candace Owens could never deceive me because at no point am I listening to her thinking that we got something in common or that we speak the same language. You've already demonstrated to me who and what you are. From here on in, I don't have to hear anything else. And you damn sure have nothing to teach me. And let me say one more thing. You don't even have the ability to entertain me. I don't find Candace Owens and white supremacists and coons and clowns entertaining. I don't find them entertaining. That's not entertaining to me. There isn't anything about her life, anything about the way she does that doesn't entertain me. She's not something I want entertaining me. So I recommend that you be suspect of anybody who finds her to be entertaining. I'm just telling you right now, you found the weak link in your group. You found the weak link in your chain. If you want to know who the suspect folk are around you, take a look at the folk who sit up here and have these, quote, guilty pleasures and then tell you that they're just being entertained. I need those of you who are listening to me here to go ahead and talk to some folk and then actually pay attention to the answers and responses that you get from them, because they mean that. If they find Candace Owens entertaining, you need to ask yourself, now, what the hell do they find entertaining about the Trayvon Martin hoax? What do you find entertaining about George Floyd didn't die from being choked to death? What did you find entertaining about that? Because that wasn't entertaining to me. I don't find any of it entertaining. I find it objectionable and indictable, not entertaining. I want us to also understand that, brothers and sisters from around the world, you and me and us and we all we got. Please understand that, you and me and us and we all we got. We all we got. That's just us, man. That's just us. We don't have anything beyond that. The old niggas, the Magic Johnsons, the Byron Allens, man, we ain't got nothing there. You don't have anything with them folks, the old niggas, the old generation, they don't have anything, man. It's not an accident that you see them folks. They can show up on corporate TV and whatnot. They can show up in those places. It shouldn't be a mystery to you how in the hell they get in there, because them folks knew they wasn't going to do nothing. How the hell is it you got Magic Johnson allegedly been out there for decades now? Ooh, I own a piece of the Los Angeles Dodgers, Shaquille O'Neal and the damn rest of them. You ain't seen a damn thing happen. Jay-Z, LeBron James, allegedly they're invested in, we're investing in black folk and black acts and this, that, and the other. You ain't seen a damn thing. Let me explain something to you. You want to know what real investment looks like? Take a look at Ted Turner. You can name people in Atlanta that Ted Turner employed. I can show you CNN Center. I can point to you and show you folk walking in and out the building. You can't show me a damn person walking in and out of a building for a Byron Allen, Magic Johnson, Jay-Z. You can't name a single damn one. Not a single one. That's not accidental. If they were actually getting anything done, if they were actually effective, it doesn't take damn me decades to do that. You all can walk outside and look outside your damn window. Facebook has built this gargantuan data center in Louisiana. Elon Musk has got launch pads all along the damn Gulf Coast. You can see what they're doing. You don't have to take their word for it. You can see the people they've empowered. You can see the people that they done plugged in. It's not some big ass mystery. There's not a single one of you who knows a single person who, quote unquote, works for Byron Allen. You can't name a single one. You can't point to a place to say, okay, here's where we can see them. So I remind you all again that these things are not accidental. They only elevate the folks who are already on the team and are already known quantities who will not be challenging anything. It's not accidental. Don't put your trust or faith, don't put any of that in any of them folk. That's why going forward here, do not let a so-called $1 million, $1 billion nigga come up to you talking about what you need to do for him until he has first codified and demonstrated what he's done for you.
And deal with it, nigga.
we must be uncompromising about that, because you have a whole bunch of folks out here that their business strategy is to get the po folks together in huge masses, and we sort of make noise for them, and then they go grab all the benefits and the goodies, and then you don't hear from them ever again anymore. And they're already in a position to make things happen. There's a reason why YouTube boosts stuff like earn your leisure.
What? Damn! Nigga, what?
I said it. Oh, for those of you who left a little early, I guess you missed that part. For those of you who might have left a little early, well, it's too bad that you did. You left before you heard Jason get to that part. So, yeah, there's that. No, folks, listen to me. There's a reason why you all need to give the side eye to anybody who's got more than 1 million subscribers on this white supremacist platform. You need to give the side eye. I said what I said. Anybody that YouTube is plugged with 1 million subscribers or more, you all need to give them the serious side eye, because from where I stand, it ain't nothing but a bunch of coons and clowns and frauds. That's all I'm seeing. And that's what YouTube is consistently floating, consistently blowing up, consistently pushing. YouTube is consistently plugging them at the top of your algorithm. That's not accidental. They've been chosen. And it's never anybody solid. Y'all want me to go there? Y'all want me to go there? Because I asked a question on Twitter. And nobody's been able to give me a response. Y'all want me to go there? I did have a question. Just one. I don't have a lot of questions. I got just one. Can you all name for me any business or enterprise of any significance that has resulted from your so-called Invest Fest?
What? Damn!
Now that should be an easy one to name. That should be very easy to do. That shouldn't be very hard to do if this is actually a real thing. If this is actually a real thing, then it shouldn't be very hard for us to be able to name the success stories out of this. If anything of any real consequence or significance is actually happening, especially to the extent that you can get the city of Atlanta to pitch in with you, folks, name for me anything of any significance that's come out of Essence. They have a festival every damn year. Name for me anything of any significance that has spun off from it. That shouldn't be very hard to do. However, when you notice the pattern, when you have municipal governments going in on these things, it's like, okay, y'all, what they got hooked up behind the scenes looks to me, and by the way, once again, looks to me like you've been chosen by certain political party. If you all don't think that the hidden hand of the I'm literally showing you all. It's not even the hidden hand of the government. It's in the damn news. It's the direct funding of the government. For what? shouldn't they be able to show some results of some kind? They should have something to show for it, right? Allegedly. Because it looks to me like it's some whack-ass bootleg version of Essence Fest is what it looks like to me. We don't need to have any more celebrities showing up. Listen to me very carefully, folks. We don't need to have any more celebrities showing up. That bull crap don't move me.
And deal with it, nigga.
We want to talk to the man you talking to, nigga. Don't bring me another Spotify workshop. Who the dude is Spotify you talking to? Don't bring me another CNN workshop. Who's the focus CNN you talking to? Bring them on in here. You want to do something for us, bring them on in here. Because that's what you do with the white kids with these incubators and these Y Combinators. That's what you do with them. They get brought up in there, and y'all go ahead and put them in the room at the table with the man who can make decisions. You all sit up here and talk to the man who makes decisions, call it Invest Fest, make sure you get your money in your pocket, and then you deliver a black audience. They deliver you all as an audience so that they can justify why they got paid on the front end. Ain't that right, Roland? And meanwhile, y'all are sitting in a room talking with each other. They get us together, you're sitting in the room talking with each other with nobody there to make no kind of decisions. I'm like, okay, forget the damn bull jive. We ain't trying to have it. I don't want to hear from Byron Allen unless he's brought some funding for somebody other than Byron Allen.
Nigga, please.
Don't bring me Rob Smith, Bob Johnson, John Johnson. I don't want to see another aged out, elderly old nigga sitting up here trying to sport about the money he made in the damn 90s. If you did not bring any funding, get your ass out of here. We have nothing to talk about. An Invest Fest where there was no investing.
Nigga, what?
Oh, did I say that? An Invest Fest where there was no investing. Just a bunch of folks passing around business cards to each other. But there was no investing. If the city of New York can get their ass up and talk about, hey, Jeff Bezos, here's a site in Long Island City that you can use for your second headquarters, how the hell are you in Atlanta and your so-called Invest Fest does not have somebody from the city to say, okay, they're trying to, we got this thing right now where they building Centennial Yards here in Atlanta. We talking about building Centennial Yards here in Atlanta. So at Invest Fest, so glad so many of you showed up here so we can tell you all about how you can be a part of Centennial Yards. Here's what we're going to do to make sure you're a part of Centennial Yards, because if you can get your ass up to go beg the city for money for your little non-fest, then you also could have talked to them about that and said, we need some of y'all to show up here because we don't want to be on, we don't want to speculate anymore. Bring us the man who makes the decisions about how we can be a part of Centennial Yards. You getting ready to spend billions of dollars? Okay, we want to know about that. No. We don't want a flyer. Bring us the fellas say, okay, here's what we need to do to plan for this. Here's what we're looking for this. They're bringing you there so that you can be consumers for them. They're bringing you there to deliver an audience for them. Hey, look, we can get $30,000 up here. What they're not doing is saying to you, okay, this is gonna be the black restaurant district over here. This is gonna be the black music district over here. Do y'all see what I'm saying? Because that's literally what they're doing. You all, I don't have time to do it tonight. I might do it later. For those of you who don't know how they're planning out Centennial Yards in Atlanta, I need you to understand that's literally what they're doing. I'm not exaggerating. That's literally how they're planning out Centennial Yards in Atlanta. That's literally what they're doing. No. I didn't say they're giving you a black music deal. I'm saying they've literally mapped out how it's going to be divided and what the parts will be doing. Literally. That's literally it. These folk up here, man, I want you to understand that if they were serious about this, you'd be talking to people who are brought there, and we just get straight to, okay, here's where the money is and here's what we need to do. It would be straight that. They would be talking to you about that. That's not what's going on. They're not discussing that. Do I need to go further? Do I need to go further? In my documentary film, Gentrified, I was telling y'all about the EB-5 program that's literally set up by the U.S. government. However, listen to me, that is a U.S. government visa program specifically for the purposes of aggregating immigrants to collect their capital. Did y'all hear me? The EB-5 program is literally a literal government program specifically and aimed specifically at immigrants for the purposes of aggregating their capital. Or let me use another word, organizing their capital. All they want to know is how much money in liquid capital you got. Now, they require a couple of $1 million, but they require that. And what I'm saying to y'all is, why is it in Atlanta we don't have a similar program for the black folk there? What? Or in New Orleans? Damn! Or in Dallas, Baltimore, Chicago, or any other so-called black city you want to name? Why is it that you don't see the same thing there? Because in New York City, Silverstein Properties has had no problem collecting all them Chinese folk together so that he can fund his next $1 billion skyscraper. Damn! Oh, did I say too much? I said that. Did I say too much? I said that. Now, they've been doing that for years, really decades, in New York City. I detailed this in my film Gentrified. They aggregate them all over the place for that. They're not even American citizens. Do you hear me? And this white man over here, and there's a bunch of them, it's not just Silverstein, it's a whole bunch of white dudes up there in New York that they organize aggregating the funding. You put this money in here, and this is the project we gonna put it into. Now, why is it that Atlanta has not done the same thing? Why is it that your Infest Vest, nobody there to discuss the same thing? You've been in touch with City Hall. You've been in touch with the mayor. You sitting up here talking about what you need to freeload off of the city, and the mayor is responding to you. Okay, then you've talked to him. Why was that not the conversation to make sure that when this event was over, there would be concrete movement on the ground? That you are not going to waste time and get a bunch of folks together and you've got access to City Hall, and we are not going to concretely make sure that y'all walking up in here. Yeah, come on up in here, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, come on up in here, Mr. City Councilor and Advisor. Yeah, okay, security, lock the doors.
What? Damn! What? Damn!
Look here, Mr. Mayor. We gonna get something straight today, and ain't nobody leaving this damn room until we've come to terms. So I hope your seat is comfortable, because nobody's leaving. We are not going to have all these people get here together when we are in such dire straits, and for folk to sit up here and do some politicking. Damn that. Nobody is leaving this room until we have come to terms that we know exactly what we'll be doing and exactly what we'll be getting. If you can sit up here and grab 30, 40 acres, you're not leaving this room until we've determined which one of them acres is ours. And you are going to go back to whoever you got to go to. Although if you're the damn mayor, you're the only one we need to talk to. We're not leaving this room until you have made a commitment that that's what it's going to be. In the chat room, Mr. Harris TV, I need to have you on Zoom now, sir. Oh, Mr. Harris TV, I need to have you on Zoom now, sir. Oh, I need to have that. I absolutely need to have that. Oh, no, we ain't gonna bull jive. We're gonna have a real conversation here tonight. So I'm so glad you asked that. I need to get you up on Zoom while I'm waiting for you to call in up here. Oh, folks, I ducks no fades. I duck zero fades. I need you up on Zoom for me here right quick, sir. While we waiting on here, I got Brother Elijah up here on Zoom. Brother Elijah, what's on your mind?
Hey, big brother, thank you so much. All right, I'm gonna be quick. I'm happy you brought this out. You're the first person that really put this on the forefront about this television show, well, YouTube show, Pop the Balloon and Find Love. And I started watching it and everything like that. I can't literally say these people are tethers because I never heard them condemn Black American society and everything like that. But I always thought it was positive and everything like that. I'm speaking in this term so I can get your objections to it.
Well, I mean, they never mention us by name. That's the whole strategy of it. Just like Lee Atwater and white supremacy, the whole thing is the inference. The whole point is that the only people that they ever talk about negatively is us. So that's the real strategy of it. So no, they don't name us by name any more than the white supremacist media says white supremacy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. No, thank you for that. No, because I literally thought that the whole premise of the show was Arlette and I can't pronounce her husband's name. I thought they was bringing to Black society initially the way they found love. So they basically wanted to share the way they found love with each other. They want to share that with Black society. And then I was like, well, I'm sympathetic to it because I know this man, he really effed us up so bad where, you know, our relations and our marriage rates, oh gosh, it really plummeted so bad because of his supremacy and everything like that. So I thought they was just, I guess, bringing a more upscale or something positive. The only thing I'm taking issue with is, on a flip note, are people, and I'm guilty of it too, this should have been, if we're going to have something like this should have been done by us. This should have not been done by these two foreigners. I'm not knocking them. It's something positive, but this should have been our show. They should.
I don't know how positive it is. What's the positive part that you witnessed?
Well, I guess just, just Black couples hooking up. That's the only positive thing I
Okay,
can.
well, that's not what the rest of us have seen, Brother Elijah. So
Oh, okay. I apologize.
I don't know what they've been slipping in the hair plants over there in Turkey. But yeah, brother, that's not what we've been witnessing there. You're witnessing a whole bunch of them. Basically, the whole goal of it is to get folks together to talk about what they don't like and what they don't approve of. Pop the Balloon really, like I said, most folk know it from the YouTube shorts. And that's the real thing of it. YouTube has really gone to real super work. I told y'all before, amplifying the shorts and things like that. And your shorts are not about happy couples and whatnot. It's about folk talking about what they don't like.
Yes.
And that's what I'm saying. You don't have a Congolese version of that because they are not going to put their folk up there as anything being objectionable. Everything's great and everything's wonderful and everything's fine. So when they talk about, oh, these women got unrealistic standards and they're shallow and this, that, and the other, I'm like, I think that's great and grand and wonderful. However, how can I be lectured by two literally admitted Congolese? How can I be lectured from you about that? What's your connection and knowledge to the soil? Because you're openly identifying as Congolese. So who are you to speak on any dynamic that's outside of the Congo? What's your legitimacy to speak on any dynamic outside of that? All I see is carpetbaggers. That's what I see. I see carpetbaggers and culture vultures. That's what I see. Why don't you stick to Congolese business? That's my whole thing. If you identify as Congolese and when you went on CNN, you made sure to do that. Okay, well, you need to speak on Congolese business is what you need to do.
Big brother, I could not agree with you 100%, even more. You know, I agree with you 100%, because I have been having that question in my mind. Is just now, but the real question is, big brother, you know, accountability is everything. You always taught us that. Why do our people go on their platform and patronize these people if that is the case? Because it's mostly us, you know, understand that black FBAs who are on this platform. Why can't they just branch off and do something else of their own? Why are you giving these people the clout and the shine? That's my question.
Who's giving them the clout and the shine?
I'm talking about not us on the grassroots. I'm talking about most of the contestants that's on that show. That's our people on there, and I'm trying to figure out, hey, why are you giving these two Congolese people the clout on the and the shine by presenting yourself on there looking for love, getting hooked up by these people? You can't, you know, maybe find another maybe a FBA host can do this. You know, branch off and do your own thing. That's my real question.
Absolutely, and that's not something to be dismissed necessarily. However, that does not remove the fact that, by the way, we've seen a very consistent pattern form.
Yes, sir.
And these folk here, the real question is, wait a minute, how are these people who are not from our lineage consistently getting boosted in every algorithm they come across seemingly out of nowhere?
Yes, sir.
How does that happen? It was one thing if at one time it's a fluke, brother. We have a steady diet of this now.
Yes.
At what point does this simply defy mathematics and reason? At what point? That's the thing I'm taking a look at. When you see a psyop forming in front of you, I don't think you're doing yourself a lot of favors by ignoring it or disregarding it or mischaracterizing it. Right. That's not natural selection. That doesn't happen naturally. It shouldn't. I mean, think about this on paper. Hello, we're a couple of Congolese, and we'd like to make a program about the dating habits of Black Americans that we don't know anything about. Come on, man. How the hell did you get slid in there? That's not natural. That's not you earned it. That's not, oh, things are going great. That is you were selected by the machine, and you are yet another plant to be shoved into place here. That's what's going on.
Big brother, you know, you Professor Truth really harped on this. Big brother, and it scares me to say this. Could it be true that what we're seeing, what we're witnessing right now, our replacements are here? Because this is what been talking about. They've been them folks been effortlessly been trying to replace us.
Well, yeah, but the thing is, but y'all notice who they had, you know, hosting the thing.
Okay.
Because you can clearly hear the difference between how he talks and It might be their thing, but there's a difference between the way that
Stop
he
acting
talks.
as if like you're gonna find somebody that's perfect.
So the revelation here is that dating is superficial.
And then how
The
she
person,
talks.
like internally, like they'll just look at you from the outside, like, oh no, his socks, yeah. But they'll say everything else is great, like everything you said, you know, you're attractive.
Yeah. That was the real point I was making, is that if you didn't know this, if you didn't know who they really were and what their real background was, she could fool you into thinking that she was one of us.
Of course.
If you're not listening real close, or if you're being caught unaware, and what I'm telling you is that was the goal. So if you're not aware that they got sleeper agents and Trojan horses at work being actively boosted by the system, then you will be thinking that the FBI has already got this and that this is a problem here and we really need to tighten up and it need to be more positive. And in reality, it's like, oh, no, this is rotten from the beginning. You've got another Trojan horse here.
Right.
And my real thing is about now, with what's his face here, BM Matundu.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what the BM stands for, but I'm pretty sure it's not, it doesn't stand for, Barry Michael.
No, BM stands for being musty, but keep going, big brother.
And Arlette here, though, well, okay, that's not a Congolese name. Did you get that?
I did.
Yeah. So the guy can't pass for anything other than Congolese.
Right.
And that's why they got the female out front, because she can. And she's presenting as one of us, which is why it is imperative that we have a program like this so that we can discuss that openly. She's presenting as one of us.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
But in reality, she's not. And this is the problem we've been running into. No matter what the website it is or the show it is, you have all these other folk out here that the white government has brought over here presenting as if they're one of us, and then speaking on us, and then trying to present as if they're showing our lives.
Right.
And the whole damn time they are in mask and they're trying to be FBAs in drag.
Right.
Is what it is. These are FBA. They're trying to be FBAs in drag. And so that's why it's very important we point this out, because, well, nobody was saying that, by the way, Arlette, how was life in the Congo? You hear the name is Arlette and you're like, okay, how was life in Cleveland? It's like, oh, no, dude, no, they are going real deep cover with it now.
Brother, that's deep, brother.
She's not even wearing like the blonde weave and stuff. So I'm just telling you, in her case, she actually does a pretty good impersonation.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, of course, she talks enough and you start hearing her accent break through. So that tells you it's not her first language. But, oh, no. In her case, she's making a real hearty effort to be sit up here and imitate one and copycat one of us. That's the point. So what I'm saying is that if you think she's the only one, she's not. And if you think they just came out of nowhere, it's like, yeah, they did come out of nowhere. How did they become such high profile out of nowhere? That doesn't happen unless the system brought you. And you need to be aware of that. Otherwise, you think you're listening to something positive or you get caught unawares about it. Now that we said, by the way, this is where these folks are from, okay, this certainly colors anything they have to say or do after that, because CNN was talking to them about, it's not really flattering the stuff you all are promoting in the first place. Now that you have now that you've clarified their lineage, it all makes sense now. Brother Elijah, you need to actually go research it some more, brother. Research some more. Brother Elijah is like, ooh, there's some good stuff over here. It's like, no, sir, it's not. Yeah, for those of you who might have missed it, maybe I didn't go into that deep enough at the beginning of the program, but my whole point that I was trying to make here is that you do realize that, yeah, Mr. BM, no one's going to mistake him for one of us.
You need to stop acting as if like you're going to find somebody that's perfect.
I mean, I ain't going to say nothing about that carpet on his head, but no one's going to mistake him for one of us. And they're not trying to. She's the one who's supposed to get you to drop your defenses. She's the one who
really
does
try
that.
to look at the person like internally. Like they'll just look at you from the outside, like, oh no, his socks, yeah. But they'll say everything else is great. Like everything you said, you know, you're attractive, this, that, but your shoes, I can't do it. So I just wish people would like try to look past the outside a little more.
Yeah, Miss Congolese, I'm so glad you gave us that advice. We definitely need to look past the outside. Well, I certainly endorse that bit of advice you gave. Let's go ahead and jump back over here on Zoom again and see if we can get Shatima up here on Zoom for me here. Where is Shatima? There you go. All right, Shatima, what's on your mind?
Oh, I was just listening to your broadcast, and I thought you were doing an excellent job breaking down the science behind what's going on. And I just wanted to add my little 2 cents to this. What we're looking at right now is 60 years of government operation, and now it's in full effect.
Oh, more than that.
60 years bringing these people in. They even wrote a book. I forgot the name of the book, but they wrote a book about how to replace the Black American. And this is not by an accident. When you see this many examples of everywhere we go in media, in Hollywood, in music, we're suddenly getting replaced by Africans or people that's not of our lineage. That's not an accident. It's not a mistake. It's 100% a government operation.
Yeah, you can't have anything, as Brother Neely Fuller taught us, you can't have something that works this big, this widespread, and this uniform.
That's
Everywhere
right.
you go, it's this big, this well organized, this widespread, and so uniform everywhere you go. You can't do that unless if it's not being centrally coordinated, it wouldn't be so uniform everywhere you go. It's got to have some sort of central coordination.
Right. Yep, just like they did with the crack epidemic in the 80s and the early 90s. The crack houses suddenly was, I'm from New York City. Crack houses suddenly all over the place.
Yeah, I mean, just overnight, just popped up, bam. No,
yeah,
I mean,
drug dealers are on every corner.
I mean, but same in California, same in the South. The big cities, of course, get more ink, of course. But I mean, it was uniform everywhere. Didn't matter where you were or where you at, it ran the same way. You had, like in New Jack City, you had some form of the big housing project there everywhere you went. The big housing project, dope house, everywhere you went. Even here in Shreveport, we had it. That's not accidental. And by the way, and it all went the same way. When they got ready, when they finally did, they let them things operate for decades. And then one day they finally came. Here in Shreveport, it was Operation Thor. And they came, I'm talking about, it made national news. They came with like 6 or 7 Ryder trucks. I mean, Ryder moving trucks, people. Not police vans, Ryder trucks. And they grabbed everybody on the street. I did not say everybody at the dope house, the dope hotel. I said everybody on the street. If you were walking down Sprague Street that day, they grabbed everybody, even passersby.
Yep. They did the same thing in Brooklyn.
Oh, yeah.
In Bedford-Stuyvesant, that's where I'm from.
Yeah, when they sprinkled down, they grabbed anybody and everybody. And now you got to prove your innocence. So much for your Fourth Amendment. But no, and now why didn't you do that a decade ago? Why didn't you do that 2 decades ago? Oh, well, we haven't finished decimating it yet. I'm so glad you mentioned that, though. Just as a brief aside, you're witnessing the exact same thing happening in Memphis right now. What? I would not be doing my job. I'm just going to steal this as an opportunity to let you all know they're doing the exact same thing in Memphis right now. Memphis's housing market in particular has taken a turn for the worse. In particular, for those of you from New York, you know full damn well that they ran the housing market in New York down from the 1960s. Oh, did something happen in the 60s? I can't quite remember. Was there a group of people who started breaking off their shackles in the 60s? I wonder. I'm trying to remember that timeline. I remember something strange about that. But anyway, right, 1960s through the 70s. And then the 80s, they ran down the values. You could pick up brownstones for pennies on the dollar. And then we get to the 90s, and then they said, okay, enough. Next thing you know, they had gobbled up all the properties, Or
That's
at least
the whole point.
they had gobbled up enough of them that it created an avalanche, basically. They got you on the back foot. And next thing you know, all of a sudden, here comes a flood of police. We're cleaning up the neighborhoods. No more dope houses. And it's like, well, I'll be damned. Why didn't you do this in the 50s and 60s then? Why didn't you do this? Why'd you wait so long? Because we were impoverishing the area. That's how we clear you out.
Yep.
The Bronx is really the only thing left in New York that's still like that today.
Oh no, it's gentrified.
Ma'am, I did a whole documentary about it. The Bronx is the only thing in New York that is still like that today in some places. The Bronx has not experienced the same thing that Manhattan or Brooklyn has at this point, but that's because the Bronx is the only thing that is left. So really, there's a whole lot of underground fighting for large parcels of land, which is really what's going on with the Bronx, because they don't want just one house or one lot. They want whole streets. Well, you can't just come in and buy a whole street, because that sets off bidding wars. That sets off housing inflation, because once they see you're buying it, prices are going to skyrocket, because that's the way it happens. So they have to move slowly, which means you're really going to have to do it over the course of a decade. The decade of the Bronx has begun now. So
I can see that. Yeah, I see that.
Brooklyn is already gone, as I predicted it would be. The Bronx decade is starting off now. There have been some incursions in the Bronx, but let's be honest, you don't have a Dumbo in the Bronx. You don't have a Tribeca in the Bronx. However, I predict let's have this conversation again in 2036, and we'll be having a different conversation. Something in the Bronx is going to have something like that is fully built out and done. Memphis is right now actively experiencing the same type of real estate depression on a wide scale that was done in New York City. I've been talking about this now for years, ever since I went there and talked about Nashville. Anybody knows Interstate 40? We talked about Nashville, Tennessee, and everybody in their mom's been talking about Nashville and Davidson County. And the whole idea was for you to disregard Memphis, which they've done.
Yep.
And now I'm telling you all, they're pushing the prices of the land down now. Within the next 10 years, you're going to, all of a sudden, you'll see the government, particularly your Democrats, because we all know the Democrats are looking out for us, is going to be the Democrats who are going to be leading and spearheading the effort to get together and say, okay, now that we have all these large parcels of low rent land and slum land now, we need to find a white developer to give all this to. So that he can make Memphis yards or whatever in the world you want to call it. And I'm just letting you all know you're seeing that happen in Memphis right now.
Okay, let me interject real quick, Jason. So it's funny that you mentioned that what happened in Memphis. Now, I don't know much about Memphis, but I do know a lot about signs. Being that I'm from Brooklyn, I remember what happened. I've been in Brooklyn for over 40 years. So I remember how it went down, like you said, just like you said. They drop down these prices of the property. They make the crime go up. They allow the criminals go run amok. They want they allow the garbage to collect on your streets on purpose to drive down your property values. Now, this is the funny part. Once you understand the signs, what are you going to do about it? Are you going to sit there? You see them driving the prices down. Are you, ding, ding, ding. It's time to buy, folks. Don't sit on the sidelines and play games. Say, oh, this is a bad neighborhood. It's terrible. It's time to buy.
Thank you very much for giving us a call. So in the chat room says, so you should keep your Memphis land. Well, I think as black folk, you definitely should. However, what I will tell you is that you need to be informed about what's going on. Please do not sit back and think that your city is being, run down by accident. It is not an accident. That is not accidental. This is all planned. It always is. Everywhere it happens, it's always planned. My film was subtitled Ethnic Cleansing American Style for a reason. So slums do not occur naturally. Slums are organized and designed and created. You literally have city codes that are supposed to outlaw those kind of things. So if you see it happening and being permitted, that's the plan. Because there's somebody else who wants it, but they don't want to pay fair market value for it. So the city gets together when they go to their country clubs When they go to their golf resorts, they get together and start strategizing against you at the Petroleum Club and the Lions Club and their little get-together places. They get together and plot with them. There's some developer or a bunch of them. They make up a map and, okay, we can do this right here. Yeah, but there's a bunch of folk there now. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and run the property values down. And what deceives black folk is that you're expecting that they would do that in 1 year. It's like, oh no, they have a multi-decade plan going, because the real thing is that the properties and areas that they do this to are always churning. So take a look at wherever they're building right now, that was the area that the property value was run down before. Whenever you see them do that, the property value there was already run down decades ago. You are just next in line. You're just next in line. So where they were building Hudson Yards, where they're building Centennial Yards, where they're building Lincoln Yards, used to be the housing projects and Cabrini Green. It's like, okay, that was the run. They ran that down in the 70s. By the time you get to the 90s, okay, we then cleared everybody out and run it down. They're developing that. Southside Chicago, okay, they're running you down now. Every time you turn on the news, they're talking about how bad the South Side is. They've made it an international thing. South Side, oh, it's terrible, which means they got major plans for the South Side. And so they know it's going to take decades to run that down. It's going to take decades to run it down and clear it out so that you chopped it up enough. It's never accidental. You are always targeted, and they have long-term strategies. Back in the 60s, they called it white flight. Y'all remember that? I need to remind you all again, back in the 60s, they called it white flight. Did you realize that practically all the areas in the 60s that black folk came into in the so-called inner city, you notice those folk have one by one come back and retaken them? All the areas that we called white flight back in the 1960s and 70s, you all do realize they've come back and taken back most of those, right? That's where your, quote, new development, new building is today. You do realize that, right? Yeah, when you were there, the city neglected it and ran it down. You couldn't get the sewers to work, and garbage piling up. You couldn't get basic city services. Yeah, when you were there, now that they're ready to take it, they go get a white developer and he's going to build it for white people. And now we're going to just move you all out now that the, quote, property values have declined enough. That's everywhere. It's not just one place, it's everywhere. This is the American way. It's an ongoing system. Your city is chopped up into several different pieces because, of course, if they did it all at once, it would put you on super high alert. So, no, they don't do it everywhere all at once because that would make you jump up. No, they just target one area and target another. We got a 10-year, 20-year plan. And when that area's 20-year timeline, your 20-year timetable is up, all right, time to get you. Now that we cleared them out. So remember, these things are all running in parallel. Multiple neighborhoods, multiple areas that are all being targeted. And then as the clock is going, these things run in cycles. The cycle for taking back Manhattan started back in the 90s. The cycle is complete. The cycle for taking over Brooklyn started a little over a decade ago. That cycle is almost complete. The cycle for taking over the Bronx has now started. Queens, take a look at what they did to the airports. Damn! Queens, stand up. To all my Caribbeans in Queens, stand up, y'all. But take a look at what they did in Queens. Why, their excuse there was we need to do a multi-billion-dollar innovation like JFK and LaGuardia, and they didn't touch those things for decades. Now, everybody knows that when you want to do a major, when you're getting ready to do major investment in a city, one of the first things you do is you either build an airport or you do a major renovation of an airport. Miami, stand up. They're doing a multi-billion-dollar renovation of Miami Airport today. Yeah, now that Miami is blowing up, first order of business, all right, let's get this airport popping. Not accidental. That's just basic planning. That's basic execution is the airport. Now, all of a sudden, they're so concerned about the airports that they're putting billions of dollars into it. You do realize you can't go any further out than the airport, right? That's as far out as you can go for folks who don't live in New York. The airport's about as far out as you can go. So if you've done a major renovation on that, oh hell, everything else is in between that and the city. Well, Manhattan anyway. You see that kind of major investment? Why didn't you do this decades ago? Oh yeah, and one more question. Where did the money come from for that? What? You know, the money that you said that you never had to put into our streets and, you know, to build up what we're doing. You know, they never build these parkways and bikeways and all these nice amenities that they have on the white side of town. You notice there's never a master plan to do nothing like that where you are, right? You know, with the nice water fountains and all that stuff right there. Yeah, because I need you all to understand, raising property values is not a private sector function. Raising property values doesn't really happen without public-private consultation. You got to get the city and the municipality to go along with whatever you're doing because by definition, it's got to be plugged in. You don't own the streets. You don't own the streets. So if you don't work with the municipality, whatever your plan isn't going to work because you're going to need to get the city to go along with that because something as basic as streets, you don't get to decide how those get mapped out. You don't get to decide how those run. When you have a Walmart come to town, folks, what's the first thing that happens? They come and redo that whole intersection. Now, you don't have a bunch of new Walmarts I'm talking about the supercenters. They built out all the supercenters. But folks, when they build a Target now or one of those shopping centers where they're going to put a Target or a Walmart, what's the first thing they do? They come and redo the entire intersection. They don't just build the Walmart. They come in and do the whole traffic lights and everything at the whole intersection. Everybody here who's got a Walmart, you've seen that happen your entire lives. Oh, okay, so it's not just the private sector that does that. Oh, so you can have all the plans you want to, but ultimately, to make this thing really pop off, you're going to have to get the public sector to go in on this with you. Otherwise, you're going to spend a bunch of money, but even if you're allowed to, you're going to spend a bunch of money, but the infrastructure, how the streets run, how easily accessible is where you're at. Is anything else going to be allowed to be built with it? Oh, the city nixes that. So you see, it doesn't work that way. Oh, okay. Now you get it. Now you get it. So please understand, folks, whether they're building a car plant or whatever, that's not accidental. You don't just jump in there. Property values are dictated by the government. And by that, I mean by making sure the amenities and the infrastructure and accessibility, you can't just build something expensive and expect the values to go up if nobody can get to it. If no one can get to it and the streets are always flooding and the street lights on and don't work, you can't raise property values that way. all the things that go around the property that you're developing. You need all of that together. You need all that together, and that's under the public's ownership and authority. You can build as nice a development as you want to, but if you can't pass the streets and there's no street lights and nobody's cutting the trees properly, well, this isn't going to work. You're not going to raise property values. You might be able to sell something, but the values are going to stagnate because it's not really a place that's easily accessible, not easy to get to. It has a lot of problems and issues. Be nice house, nice neighborhood, but getting to it is a beast. Now you get the difference. Now you get the point. So when they run these property values down, the key indicator is neglect by the government. That's what runs property values down, is government neglect. That's not accidental. You made a damn phone call. They're supposed to be coming out to see about it. That's their whole function. If they're not coming to see about it, congratulations, you've been targeted. If they're investing in everything except where you are, congratulations, you've been targeted. In the chat room, Transformed, I'm very glad you said that. I need y'all to understand that freeways are not put through for nothing. And I don't just mean where they go. I also mean what will be around them. When you see them put through freeways, even if it's not just, interstates that go from one state to another, even for the ones that just are interstates in your state, like 295 or something like that, they already plan out in advance what's going to be happening at the exit. They already know how many exits the freeway will have, but when they approved to make the freeway, they've already decided what will be off that exit. Okay, so what's going to happen to the property values off that exit? Well, if we build a warehouse, property values probably ain't going to go very far. But if we build a shopping plaza right off the exit, Atlanta, Alabama, the bypass, stand up, Alabama, the bypass around Birmingham, Atlanta, it's a zoo, but you all are seeing that all over the place now. The Carolinas, stand up. It's not accidental. When they build through a freeway, they plan it out, and it's like, okay, what's going to be off of that exit? You build a warehouse, values won't go very far. You build a shopping center with a great big old gas station and a Wawa or a Buc-ee's, the property values through the roof. Property values through the sky. Now, was that the private sector? Was that the private sector, or was that the public sector working in conjunction with the private sector to make sure that these property values were going to spike only after they done cleared the niggas out? Because where are your freeways? Where do your freeways go through? Oh, they went through where you black folk are. Now that we've got you out of the way, now that we've cleared you out, okay, we've already made plans for this. Have you all seen how absurdly wide your interstates are? What? Folks, have you seen how outrageously wide these interstates are, by the way? Y'all do know that's a technique that they use to destroy whole neighborhoods, right? 4 lanes of interstate, or even 6 lanes if you're going through a city. Have y'all noticed they clear out? You got these interstates with these the medians are wider than the interstates are. The medians are wider than the whole interstate is. That doesn't make any sense unless your goal was to maximize the amount of land that you demolished, because you didn't do this because you needed to have area for the concrete of the roadway. Case in point, folks, when you have an overpass, the overpasses aren't 60 feet apart. The overpasses are right next to each other. Northbound, southbound, eastbound, westbound, they're right next to each other. As soon as they get past the overpass, okay, it stretches back out again. Yeah, they've cleared out so much land now, they can put green space, not just Dallas, Los Angeles. They got green space for the wildlife. Now, let me get this straight. You built this gigantic, overly wide, excessively wide freeway to get rid of the black people, and so you can have Bambi walk across? That's not a fluke, that's a feature. They got all kinds of plans here to make sure they get you. And this isn't just Levittown's. They made sure that they've planned this out. So when you have a freeway or an interstate, you all are just watching the devastation caused by the interstates. I'm taking a look and saying, oh man, there's levels on top of this. Every exit, they've already planned out what and devised how they're going to use that too. And don't worry, you won't be a part of that one either. And you know, the crazy part about the damn wildlife thing is that when they have a developer come through, they give them exemptions for all of that. What? Damn! Yeah, y'all, the EPA and the Endangered Species Act and the Wetlands Act, I've covered this with you all before. That's a bunch of bull crap. They give the white developers exemptions for all that, in case you didn't know. They get exemptions for that if they want to build something. Hello, Disney. Hello, MGM Universal Theme Parks. Hello, Six Flags. They can do as much expanding as they want to. They get exemptions for that. No. Those rules are binding on you. When these white developers want to build in a wetlands, yeah, you get introduced to a new term, exemption. Now, you don't get an exemption, but when they come through, they start rubber stamping them. Folks, you couldn't build these gigantic data centers if they didn't do that. There's no way you can build a data center literally the size of Manhattan in Louisiana, an entire state that is below sea level, if you didn't have a wetlands exemption. Do you understand that? You can't build something the size of Manhattan without running into wetlands 7 or 12 times over. So that means they have been given multiple exemptions while they're telling you what they can't do and don't have the money for. They're going to come tell you ain't no money in Chicago. You sold all of the parking meters, but ain't no money. You found billions of dollars for illegals, billions of dollars for the airport, billions of dollars, for Elon Musk. But when you show up, all of a sudden, ain't no money. Well, since the gentleman that I asked to call in decided that he's not going to do that, let me go ahead and address that real quick, just in case anybody thinks I'm going to duck it or dodge it, because I'm not. Let me explain something to y'all. I meant exactly what I said. Let me give y'all an example. Because some folk in here like Jason, you can't do that. Are you certain? Folks, do you all know that Donald Trump has done that? What? Damn! What? Damn! Do y'all know they have meetings like that in Washington? At the RNC? Oh, I'm sorry, you all didn't know that, did you? Some of you all need to go talk to some of your politicians, because clearly there's a bunch of folk here who don't actually know how these things work. We are going to sign a deal tonight, no matter what happens. We signing a deal. By the way, some of you have experienced that at your job.
Damn!
Oh, yeah. For some of the naive folk or some of the folk in here with short memories, some of y'all have experienced that at your jobs. Some of you all have had jobs. Some of y'all had retreats where we are staying here until it's done. We're not taking a lunch break. Nobody's going home until this is done. Oh, damn. So you thought I was exaggerating. Oh, you thought yes, some of the little fruit booties, you making that up. Okay, so these folk in here who've lived it, are they making it up too? Some of my folks in the military. The man done come in there and said, we gonna order some pizza, we gonna order some DoorDash, but nobody's going home until this gets done. Okay, I see there's some of y'all done been worked there too. Okay, yeah. Nobody's leaving, nobody's clocking out, nobody's going home until this gets done. Well, Jason, they wasn't holding us against our wills there. Are you sure about that? Because if you ain't got the key if you don't have the key to the door, or if you don't have the key to be able to unlock the front door, if you have to ask them to come unlock it, you work in a skyscraper in Manhattan, you work in a place with security guards and whatnot. If they tell the security guards, yeah, only a manager can open the doors. Well, Jason, how you just about it? Somebody might steal something. We don't want anybody just walking in and out of the building. Did you get that? We don't want anybody just walking in or out of the building. So, folks, don't sit here and just exit the building. Make sure a manager exits them for. They can't just swipe and leave on their own. Oh no, I'm not even gonna be nice talking about holding your job hostage. No, that's easy. That's easy to sit up and say, well, I mean, they could fire you. No, I'm talking about that you're not allowed to leave the building physically. You are physically not allowed to leave the building without permission. Yeah, there's a bunch of jobs like that, in case you didn't know. There's a lot of folks in here for the work at home generation. For them, ooh, really? No, you lying. For those of you who came of age during the pandemic, I know this sounds like science fiction to you, but yeah. The stay-at-home workers might, to some of them, no, man, you lying. Yeah. I don't have to sit up here and make this stuff up. You know, talking to people who don't know things or whatever, or they're not very informed, or they haven't been around, you ain't worked a bunch of jobs or whatever. I don't have to argue with your level of ignorance. I know what you can do. I know what goes on. So if these folks is really damn serious about that, them the kind of conversations y'all need to be having. Because I'll tell you one damn thing. If you go to City Hall, oh, nigga, you don't want to have this conversation. You didn't know it was going to go this way. Tell me if you're going to argue with this. Folks, if you go to City Hall for a city council meeting, and the mayor or the city council says that you don't have permission to leave, what happens next? Huh? Go ahead and tell me that you got your own set of rules you gonna enforce. If there's a city council meeting and the mayor, the city council, you talking about you leaving the building, and the mayor and the city council say you don't have permission to leave. If they tell the sheriff to grab you, well, now what? If they tell the sheriff that you don't have permission to leave, now what? Or are you going to tell me, ain't nobody going to tell me what to do? Oh, really? Okay.
Sit your ass down.
So just in case anybody thought I was exaggerating these things, or you can make up your own rules. Hey, Jason, it's not really that serious. They don't really have them like that. Are you sure? Are you sure? Just that quickly. So I want y'all to understand, when folks get serious, the conversation changes. The dynamic changes about that. The other thing here is that what it really just shows you is that in Atlanta, you don't run your city until you have the ability to do that. The politicians are supposed to be obeying you. They're supposed to be scared to upset you. They're supposed to be scared to displease you. Trash talking on the Breakfast Club doesn't move anything. So I want to take an opportunity here to discuss that with you all here tonight. And I don't want you to be despondent about it. I really did this because I want you to be aware and to just understand that this is just one dynamic that we're mentioning here. Just one. There are a bunch of others. But stop assuming that the programming you're looking at is indicative of things. You need to dig into this. Do some investigation. Check under the hood. See who's really behind it. And see if it's some of the usual suspects that we've been running into. Before you just start assuming, we is our own words. I mean, do some investigation and see, wait a minute, are you sure this isn't the usual suspects? Well, her name is Arlette. Okay, well, did you keep digging? Did you keep checking? Or did you just assume, well, that's enough? What we are learning is that you cannot take anything at seemingly face value. That's the moral of tonight's story. Do not take anything at seemingly face value. If you haven't looked more than skin deep, you have not looked. In the chat room, sue them after. You know what? Do y'all realize the government's not scared of that? Did you notice that? I need y'all to understand that. Do you notice that the government's never scared of that kind of thing? I mean, it's a cute slogan to say, you know. It's just, I just want to give you all a reminder. By the way, they sitting right in front of you violating your rights. I mean, not even in City Hall. They do it in the City Hall, on the street corner, in the middle of your house. What? I just want you all to understand there. The government is like, okay, we'll deal with that later. No, I'm not saying because it's not credible that there are not consequences. That's not what I said. Folks, I didn't say that they do it because there are no consequences. Black folk get payouts all the time. Remember? I just need you all to understand that sometimes lawsuits, sometimes getting arrested is the price of doing business. Did y'all get that? Sometimes consequences for breaking the rules is the price of doing business. They're not ready for this conversation here. They're not ready for me to go in depth on this one. They're not ready for me to do that. But sometimes breaking the rules and sometimes consequences, that's just the cost of doing business. The government understands this. If there's something that they want from you, even if there's consequence, quote unquote consequences, as long as the job got done, there might be consequences. Well, that's the cost of doing business. That's the tax we pay for getting that done. Did you get that? That's the tax that gets paid for getting that done. Okay. I'm going to let y'all marinate on that one for a little while. If you are new here to the Black Channel, welcome to the Haven of Intelligent Black Thought. We do this every weekend, holidays, some days in between. So click that subscribe button and notification button. Join us each and every time that we're here. If you haven't been to blackchannelfilms.com, check out our groundbreaking best-selling documentary work at blackchannelfilms.com. I want to thank all of you for tuning in to tonight's program. Thank you for liking, subscribing, and sharing. And this concludes tonight's broadcast of the Black Channel. I am your host, your brother, your humble servant, the Black Authority. And until next time, my brothers and sisters from around the world, remember, black is the future, and the future is uncompromising.